Star Trek 57, M23, take 2.
Star Trek podcast.
I have to know my enemy. Give me Captain Janeway's psychological profile.
I'm a doctor, not a database.
I'd say you're a little bit of both. Start talking.
Or suffer the consequences? Hardly. I'm a hologram. I experience neither pain nor fear of death. You have no means of coercing me.
Pain. It's an interesting sensation, isn't it?
I never realized.
How unpleasant it could be. This is what burning feels like. For a human to experience what you're going through right now, he'd have to be on fire. By reconfiguring your tactile response sensors, easy as proverbial pie.
Okay, I propose that we begin the podcast.
Let's start it right now.
Do I hear a second?
Voyager.
Second? Does
Star
somebody
Trek
second
Voyager.
that proposition?
I don't wanna do it.
Okay, I happen to know you're the one who wants to start it the most.
I don't wanna do it. I don't wanna start the
Ed Begley Jr.
podcast.
Ed Begley Jr.
All right, we're off to a typically good start.
Baked Bagels Jr.
So
I'm gonna call him
Isn't
Baked
it funny
Bagels.
when Ed Begley Jr. plays a bad guy?
it's also funny when he plays a young hippie, but we'll get to that in just a second.
he was saying anything.
That's just because we
Did
know
you
him
hear-
as an old guy.
Did you hear him say he was saying anything? He goes, technology is 500 years more advanced than anything you've got.
All right.
Yeah, he talks funny.
So that's just a
He talks
He
preview.
used to have more of like a slur.
Dan has just given you a preview of the sort of really high-level analysis
So
you're
if you
going
want
to
to
get
jump out, now's your chance.
in this podcast. So hello,
I had my he talks funny. That's high level.
hello, everyone. Welcome to the It's Got Star Trek podcast. This is episode 143 of the It's Got Star Trek
Really?
podcast. Isn't that wild?
That's too many.
That's a lot.
It's out of control.
It's way too many.
Yeah. See, right now it's too many. Soon it won't be enough.
That's how it works.
I can't
how
wait
it
till we
works.
get to 200.
100,
podcast
143 is, wait, what is it? 143 is too many, but 144 is not enough.
Well, I mean,
That's how the
What
saying
happens if we
goes.
get to 240?
So-
Insanity, the definition of insanity is doing the same type of podcast in over and over in successive episodes and expecting that you'll get more people who care about you or something. I don't know.
I'm not sure if that philosophy
if that's
applies precisely.
I was sort of coming up with it just now if you hadn't
thought
noticed.
so.
I also thought so. I think
Yeah.
you're onto something there, Jesse. Okay, so the It's Got Star Trek podcast, and this week, as it happens, we're talking about Star Trek Voyager's third season, super duper time travel shenanigans classic, Future's End.
It's been a while since we've talked about a Voyager.
And now I'm going to be pedantic here. Because I know
gonna
we
be
are
Something about
among
the title?
I'm going to be pedantic.
Star Trek fans are often
I'm going to be
He's
pedantic.
going to be a pedant.
pedantic,
I'm going to be pedantic.
and that's part of the fun.
The pedantic man will pass.
I'm going to be pedantic.
if
Only
we're
the
being,
penitent man.
if we're if we're being pedantic,
Pedantic.
this is a two-part episode,
No.
and it is a two-part episode in which the first part of the episode, the first episode is called Future's End,
Future.
and the second part is called Future's End Part 2. It's not Future's End Part 1 and then Future's End Part 2.
All right.
Now,
Well, it's like
we
World
may
War
label
One.
it,
Future's
we may label it as
beginning to
such
the end.
on the website for clarity's sake.
It's like World War One. They didn't know there was going to be a second World War, so
Yeah.
that's why they didn't name it World War One.
This is called it the Great
They
War.
call it the
It's
Great
like when they
War.
made this episode, they
What
didn't.
was so great about that war anyway?
They made this.
What with
Not
all them
much.
trenches, and the machine guns,
Right.
They made this episode.
lobbing grenades out of biplanes made out of fabric.
They made this episode and then they like had it all ready to go and they're like, you know what? This could probably use another part to it. So they filmed another part. This is after they had already finished filming and editing the first one.
I like your theory.
That's
I like your theory. Okay,
Yeah.
let's give
talking about paper airplanes.
no, not paper. Well, yes, they had a lot of them were made of paper, but they're not technically a paper airplane. The
Paper
colloquial
stone.
understanding of paper airplane
Paper
Are you
would be
busting on the Wright
different
brothers now?
than the paper-lined airplanes of the World War I era, where they were dropping little Molotov cocktails on
Little
people.
hand grenades.
Paper's easy to rip, but it's difficult to pull apart. It's actually got what's it, tensile strength or something?
All right.
Okay,
Sounds about right.
We're going to give a brief overview of what we're going to discuss in the podcast tonight. What the goal of what
Ed
we're gonna
Bagels
discuss.
Jr.
Yeah. We will, of course, start with our initial overall impressions, and we'll see how much detail Dan goes into. He has an expansive view of the term overall impressions. We should talk about the time travel shenanigans,
Ooh, yeah.
right? I mean, obviously. I do want to at least briefly touch on the representation of 1990s computers, which I found offensive, but we'll get to that. Clever catchphrases. These two episodes had like a shitload of crazy Arnold Schwarzenegger style catchphrases.
They did. They had at least two that
There's
I
all kinds of
remember.
funny lines.
So we'll talk about that. There's the Tuvok and Tom buddy show.
We're providing you audio hyperlinks, and you just click on our audio
Yes.
hyperlink to skip to the part you want to go to.
Hyperspace.
Henry Starling,
That's a Star
the hippie genius. We'll talk a little bit about
He
him.
was a hippie sellout, man.
Yeah.
Well, we'll
he
get
was
to that.
shaking
We'll get to
Nixon's
that.
hand,
We'll be.
man.
I think there is some subtle stuff in there and some less subtle stuff, but we'll get to that. And then, of course, Rain Robinson as portrayed by Sarah Silverman, and other topics along the way will no doubt be
Alan G.
generated.
Royal.
And Alan G. Royal, who played Captain Braxton. Captain Braxton, and
That
it's
guy was
wor-
a dick too.
well, he was kind of a dick. He was. I don't know. He was nice at the end.
No, he wasn't.
He's from the future.
No, you're right. He was a dick.
He didn't
at the
send
end.
him back home. I know there's that sort of the time prime,
The temporal
time,
prime directive.
the time directive.
He's from that
time
part
pri-
of the
prime
future
time
where like
directive.
everything kind of sucks.
I don't know if either of you have the answer to this, but I was wondering if this might
He had
be
a
the
one-person ship is going to take out the entire Voyager. I know Voyager's 500 years older, but he had a little one-dude
Yeah.
ship is going to take out all of Voyager.
Well, if you had like a jet ski, you could totally take out.
29th,
You could take out a
30th.
World War II aircraft carrier, no problem. I mean, that's granted. That's a shorter amount of time.
I mean, you'd need like some kind of thing.
I bet a jet ski could take out like a wooden sailing
Just run
ship
right
from the
into it?
1700s.
Just run into it.
No, just go around it real fast and confuse them, and they would sink.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "Oh no!
Oh no.
Oh
Capsize.
my word!" All right, so that's the brief outline of what we're going to discuss tonight.
Ahoy.
So let's jump on in to overall impressions. Let's start with Jesse this time. What was your overall impression of this television program?
It's kind of a goofy, fun sort of Star Trek, of course, because it's a time travel. Time travel is always a little iffy.
Yeah.
Especially if you time travel to like the 20th century, because it's always some zany stuff. Like they're walking along like the beach, and you're not sure if that's actually the beach or if that's just some kind of crazy set of the beach. I wasn't quite sure.
We're a little
It
about.
was just a bunch of. It was like a circus or something. Like,
I will
it was like a fucking Lollapalooza.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the Voyager depiction of 1996 LA is far more realistic than the Picard 2024 LA. I mean that just for our new listeners. I'm being facetious. Yeah, they did go for this episode. Both these episodes are filled with a lot of stereotypes.
Chakotay was looking like some
Yeah.
Miami Vice or something like that.
Yes.
Like, it was pretty. Like he looked a little out of place, but I mean that was part of the joke was that they didn't quite. They weren't quite.
Tom
on
Paris
the
was
nose.
They were
tucking his
wearing
shirt in
suits
already.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Like at least those two were. Like the other two, like Tom Harris looked like a goofball.
Yeah.
Like
What was it,
Tuvok was owning that stuff.
Sexy in a howdy doody
Yeah.
sort of
But
way.
do you think that
Yeah.
was a late '90s Tuvok's outfit? Do you think that was late '90s? Or do you think that was more like '80s, late?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I'm not sure if they were going for a sort of ridiculous. They
Well, I
must
think
have been
they
going
were
a little bit
they
for
were
ridiculous.
because the whole what part of the deal was is like Tom Paris was the expert and even Sarah
well,
Silverman.
maybe he was off
And
then.
Sarah Silverman at one point was even like, "Who says like I'm a
Groovy.
secret,
Right.
yeah, groovy
Secret agent.
secret agent?"
Secret
So
agent.
part of the joke was that they weren't quite one on, and that's understandable. You go back hundreds of years. What's a decade or two to you? But to them, it's like the difference between groovy and radical.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the difference between groovy and radical.
But yeah, there were a lot of stereotypes, which it works for the Voyager characters. It's a little more, it's silly when it comes to the everyday people, like the Mohawk guy. You always have to have the Mohawk guy.
There was that Mohawk guy.
Now, none of that is a
There was
criticism.
a guy on stilts.
I fucking loved it all. I thought it was great. It's just we are recognizing that these are not accurate depictions of the 1990s people. These are weird
It was like a Red Hot Chili Peppers video.
Yes, yeah. That's a good analogy. All right, how about you, Dan? What are your overall impressions?
Well, first
we haven't yet made a pun about overalls. I mean, I've been doing the thing where I hook my thumbs under imaginary overall suspenders, but we haven't overtly made that joke yet this week.
No, I was doing that thing where I look at you and wait for you to finish.
Yeah.
But neither of us got to put our message across because they're very visual.
Yes.
Both sides.
We should do a video.
I never
podcast.
thought of taking overall because it's pretty low hanging fruit, you know. Overall, I'd say it's
Overalls?
Overall, I'd say the
Osh-
overall.
How come,
Gosh.
how come you're never wearing any overalls?
Yeah, why don't you wear overalls?
Why don't you wear overalls?
I think they would. I would
They
think
get
would-
itchy.
I never liked overalls.
itchy.
But you got like a front pocket. You can put your phone like right
Yeah,
there.
you
in
do
your front
that.
pocket.
Then you fucking do it.
Well, I
it's-
might.
It's utilitarian.
I never said I wouldn't. We're having a live conversation.
Utilitarian. I'll go for your classic American nerdy cargo pants.
How about a jumpsuit?
What? Okay. I'm sure jumpsuits are very comfortable. I would have to go without any underwear on, though.
How about
yeah,
one of those?
absolutely.
What do they call them? Like in England, they call them boiler suits. You know, is that what you're thinking? Like a jumpsuit where it's like covers you all.
No, I'm
up?
talking about like,
Yeah.
like
coveralls. They
Enterprise.
call them coveralls
No, I'm talking about like,
here, don't they?
like Enterprise or race car drivers or those kinds of things. That's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking of.
Those are more like coveralls, I think.
Yeah.
I guess a jumpsuit counts.
So when I was watching this episode, I was thinking, imagine if DS9's episode Whispers was a two-parter. What would we have gotten ourselves in store for that? I was actually really thinking hard because I was thinking myself, would
You're
Whispers...
thinking I want to justify some of last
No,
week's
no,
comments.
no. I was thinking...
We reviewed Whispers from Deep Space Nine last week.
I was trying to think to
Dan
myself...
suggested it should have been stretched out over an entire season.
I just said... No, I said it needed something because everything was just touched on.
It was slight.
And
It was a
so-
slight plot.
So maybe I know
Very streamlined.
a whole season. Yes, that's a bit silly, obviously. And now in retrospect, I was throwing knives in the dark room. You know.
This one could have been just one episode.
So
Developing film.
Whispers.
Something many of our listeners will not understand.
So the thing about
reference to a dark
The
room.
thing about
They're not
Whis-
gonna understand
So the
that.
thing
A
about
dark era.
So the thing about Whispers is I was watching this episode and I was really trying to think would Whispers have been made better as a two-parter, or was Whispers just not a very good episode and it had no hope to begin with?
Oh, damn.
I mean, I thought Whispers was a good episode. I enjoyed it. It's
I
not
enjoyed it too,
It's
but-
not a top tier.
Why would you
enjoyed-
need two parts?
It's just very streamlined.
I enjoyed it too, but it wasn't streamlined. Like, what's the TNG episode where they explode over and over again?
Cause and effect.
Cause and effect. That's streamlined, but in an awesome way.
I agree.
And
There's a
but
denser layers in
but
cause
but
and
in
effect.
Whispers there was much the ideas behind Whispers seemed much grander.
It's because in
but
Whispers-
they never got a chance to delve into anything. And maybe it wouldn't have been made better by two episodes. Maybe it's just the nature. It was a fine episode.
Here's what I think it comes down to with Whispers. That's not true of Future's End.
Whispers
or
is
Cause and
not
Effect.
Whispers is not a bad episode. It's
No.
just it's missing something.
But
to me.
what it is the story structure they decided to go for being tense and everything. And apologies if you haven't watched Whispers, but we're not going to spoil anything. But it's a tense episode, but it's all from the perspective of O'Brien. And because of the nature of the plot and the sci-fi elements of that plot, it has to all be from O'Brien's perspective. And that constrains the storytelling.
Yeah.
And that makes it, that's also why it's so, in my opinion, a very streamlined episode. Entertaining, but it lacks some of the depth because you're not seeing the other things. In Cause and Effect, we get everybody. In this episode, we get everybody. That's what's cool. We even get the people back on the ship who are doing jack shit. Neelix is
Harry
just watching
fucking
fucking TV.
I will say that suggesting Whispers go over a whole season was maybe a little bit. I didn't think that one through before I said it, but that's my opinion of this episode.
All right. Well, well, you just play back the tape and you'll catch it somewhere in there, listeners.
There's one exchange. Jesse, do you know what the exchange is? You know what the exchange is.
What,
You mean where you go change your euros into dollars?
In this, the way
Because I
I'm-
got like 50 euros in my wallet, and I just don't know what to do.
The way
with
I'm
it.
wording it, there's no way
figure I'll go back to
you're
Europe
gonna know what I'm
eventually.
talking
Those
about.
exchanges are funny. There's always a funny little dude.
But in
there. It's
DS9,
like,
what was the highlight word exchange phrase in this episode? The highlight word. You all took note of it. Maybe you disagree with my
I didn't
assertion.
take any notes this
you
time.
know, no, but you know what word I'm talking about. But you don't.
Balls? Was it balls?
Tuvok, has anyone ever told you you're a real freakosaurus?
Oh, Freakosaurus.
And every
Yeah.
time they said that, I thought they were going to say freakazoid, but they didn't. They said freakasaurus.
They said it as if at the end of the episode, as if it was like this is a thing.
That's
But-
a good
but
example
that's-
of like, yeah, how that was like they made some kind of phony 90s.
But this was Sarah Silverman's character Rain, who was from that era. So it wasn't like they said
her
groovy.
character was completely ridiculous.
It's not like they said groovy, which was in the wrong era. They said freakasaurus, and I mean maybe somebody said that offhandedly, but it's not like a thing people were
Maybe
into.
somebody like in like the 8th grade said that.
That's the kind of shit you'd get on those stickers in elementary school would have a
Pogs?
picture of a dinosaur
Pogs?
and it would say
That's some
something like
elementary school
far
stuff,
out
yeah.
and chill zone and freakasaurus.
Chill zone.
I don't know those
All
stickers.
right, here are my overall.
Chilosaurus
Oh,
Rex.
My overall impressions are related to yours.
Okay, I wanted to mention real quick the I was also impressed by the special effect of like
Yes.
the Voyager going over
On the camcorder.
Yes, it reminded me of
It looked fucking real. Signs.
Signs. Oh yeah, it did look like Signs. I was thinking of What We Do in the Shadows. They would do stuff like that sometimes.
Yeah.
There was one episode where there's some witches flying in the air or
Yes.
something. And I don't know if it looks so good because it's like supposed to be off in the distance. But
The game's dragging
Often.
on.
Yes. Is it supposed to be because it's at night off in the distance so it
Off
makes
in
it
the
look
distance.
better? Or it's just a great execution.
Off in the distance, as in a high frequency of distances.
Quite often the distance.
So the CGI just looks really great because they're they're using the effects like the darkness and the far away and like the
darkness.
and that kind of thing. But it ends up looking really cool and it fits somehow. Anyways, so
All right,
that's
so-
I thought it's a fun episode. It's
I
fine.
agree. I also I really love this episode. This is one of those episodes I sort of remember more than many other Voyager episodes.
Yes, I have this image of Sarah Silverman looking out the top of the car, but for some reason my
burned
memory
into my adolescent brain.
for some reason
at the time.
it was during the daytime is when I had her in my mind. It was
well,
her during
that's
the
brain
daytime.
damage from aging.
Oh, okay. I thought
The
you were
memory has
I
been
thought you were naming
modified.
an episode. That's brain damage from aging. I was like, "There's no Star Trek show called Aging."
Star Trek Aging.
Star Trek Aging.
No, the name of it's a TAS episode. It's called Brain Damage from Aging.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say that I love this episode. I think it's rightfully a classic. I agree with you, Jesse. It's fun and whimsical, but it's also got cool sci-fi stuff. Good acting. Sarah Silverman's so great. Her character's awesome. Ed Begley Jr. is awesome. That Braxton guy is pretty awesome as old Braxton and young Braxton. Even the guy who plays Ed Begley's weird little man Friday.
Oh yeah, what's his name? Burbank or something?
Whatever he is, he's like really good at that role.
Brimley.
But I will say, I think we've had this discussion many times before on the podcast that you sometimes have episodes that feel like they should have been a 2-parter, but they've been or a 1.5-parter, but they got squished into one episode.
Dunbar.
And then sometimes you have
Dunbar.
episodes that are like there's more plot than for one episode, but not quite enough for two.
Yeah, this is when streaming services help us out.
Streaming service do help
'Cause
avoid
they're-
some of that
they're
stuff.
not. They don't have to stick to that.
Yeah,
shit.
in this era, they had to get to their 43 minutes or whatever screen time, and it's not particularly bad in this episode, but it does feel a little stretched in specifically that whole Chakotay and Torres get captured by stereotypical weird redneck dudes.
Yeah.
It seems very tacked on. It's not that it's not a part of the plot, but it's a somewhat unnecessary part of the plot where they're like, we need an extra 6 minutes. Let's have some lunatic
Was one of
anti-government
was
people.
one of those guys on Seinfeld?
Quite possibly. Both of those actors have been in a number of things.
There was a great line by one of the guys' name was Porter. He goes, "There are two forces at work in the world: the drive toward collectivity."
collectivity.
Yeah, he says the drive toward collectivity and the drive toward individuality. You are the former, and I am the latter. That's some kind of like shit that
That's Nazi talk.
That's like one of the writers was recalling some kind of like hallucinogenic trip they had, and it was like one of those. It's like
it's the writer's imagined version of a hyper libertarian anti-government redneck.
But when
for
you
lack of a better
when
term.
you start talking about,
I don't mean to use the pejorative term, but that's what they're doing here. That's the stereotype.
But when he says that line, that this weird philosophy of the drive, it's like drive towards collectivity and the drive toward individuality.
I will say you are saying collectivity a little weirdly.
Okay, look,
you're putting the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
The point I'm making is that they're presenting this brief philosophy in 1 second. It's like we're on a
brief philosophy is about.
Okay, yes, I get it. Underwear.
I was just pointing at my nethers.
So I'm saying, like, when you have a scale from one end to the other, and you're like, we're on this sort of spectrum of one end is individuality, and one is
scale and a spectrum,
and one is collectivity.
No, that's on purpose. He did it on purpose.
I'm just saying that is some kind of shit that someone thinks up when they're having a trip, and like they're just kind of sitting. It's not. I mean, you don't have to have tripped to thought that, but that's the kind of thing. It seems like a writer was like, I remember that one time I tripped and had a revelation about like how the universe works, and it's like that's like one of those things that people say. So it was, but it was also followed.
That's what everybody says after they have a trip.
It also follows that standard kind of like you were saying these what do they call them?
Have a trip.
What are those guys? Those people called who like have cans in the basement and doomsday preppers. It also
preppers.
Sounds like a doomsday prepper.
Cans in the. I was like, I got cans in the basement. What are you talking about, baby?
I
don't got that many cans.
Cans, baby.
Anyways, so that's all I was saying about that.
Right. Well,
you were talking about you were talking about how that part was stretched out.
It just seemed like a little bit filler. But here's the thing: it was good filler. For the most part, I mean, this whole episode, like I said, is filled with a bunch of pretty hardcore stereotypes. And while that can definitely work as a dramatic tool, I kind of like that a lot of modern entertainment has moved away from that, because I don't want to use the term lazy, but maybe it's expeditious to use that. And if you're in a writing room writing 26 episodes a season, desperately trying to keep up with the shooting schedule, and I understand it's easy to rely on some of these things.
They were given some weird lines, like when Chakotay all told Janeway she had nice legs, like that was like, I know they weren't going for anything weird, but it was weird. And then when the whole sort of like, your curves don't look so great, she's like, excuse me, and he's like, I'm talking about the math equation.
Your dick's crooked.
And then, that's
what
that's what she said to Tuvok.
She said, sine wave.
To Tuvok, she said, who are you people, and what is that thing in your pants? He's like, excuse me? Oh, you mean my phaser, not my penis.
But there were a lot of double entendres.
But yeah, it was weird. I thought it was unprofessional when Chakotay told Captain Janeway she had nice legs, because that woman came by who was wearing shorts and some roller skates back then or whatever. She's like, excuse me, you're standing in the way. And he's like, she's got nice legs just like you, huh? Hey, Toots.
Toots.
He's
Captain Toots.
In one brief phrase, he denigrated two women.
Yeah.
Simultaneously.
Well, it's because he was wearing that.
He was denigrating Janeway and the strange woman that he didn't know.
He was wearing that late 80s cocaine suit, so that's why he was able to pull that off.
Well, I mean, with the redneck guys, if we had seen something similar, even if they had to do some filler, I think maybe we would have seen them portrayed a little bit differently, maybe a little bit more sympathetically. I'm not like for doomsday prepper dudes capturing people and holding them in their basement. I'm not on their side, but it would be more interesting if they weren't sort of so cut and dry. I don't know. I just found it a little not jarring. It's because it kind of fit in with the rest of the episode.
But it allowed that great, speaking of one-liners, when Porter was like, God in heaven help us. And then Doctor was like, divine intervention is unlikely. And then he fucking blasts him. That was a Schwarzenegger.
That was one of those lines I wanted to mention. Why don't we just go ahead and talk about some of those other lines here? One of the other catchphrases was that I wrote down anyways, that when Tuvok was like, would you please hand me a burrito?
I missed that one.
Is when Tuvok bought all that food. First of all, where'd he get the money to buy that food?
Yeah,
Did he just Vulcan neck pinch the dudes after they served him? But he got all that food and she was like, this isn't breakfast, this is something else.
Oh, a day at Dodger Stadium.
And
he was like, that's a non-sequitur.
The LA Dodgers.
It's like, no, seems like a proper metaphor.
But he knew
what a Goliath
he was all about the burrito. And the burrito retroactively makes sense because we know from Lower Decks that like Starfleet officers seem to be all about Mexican food. Yeah. It could be that's only on the Cerritos because it's a California class ship.
Cerrito rhymes with burrito.
Yeah. Another one.
Zorro.
One of the redneck dudes was all like, they were all like, who's out there? And he's like, it's like a black man and some bald guy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I remember that. That stuck right out.
Yeah,
He said-
I remember
somebody
that.
said
That
black
was
man. I said,
the way
black
They were like, these are racists.
Yeah,
These are racists.
they were. They really.
What's that shit on her head? I mean, that's basically what the guy said, right?
There was a scene where she put Janeway put Starling in the brig, and she's like, Chronoworks stock is about to crash.
Yes.
And then like she like walks out, and like there's that menacing crewman in the background going like, "Her."
I love that too. But the delivery is really what sold it for me, because it's like Chronoworks stock ...
Yes,
is about to.
I know. It's like I almost missed
It was like a long ass pause.
I almost, and I would have missed it if not for the pause, because even with the pause, I almost missed it. And then after she said it, I was like, wait a minute, that was awesome. It's kind of like,
Even if it's a bit anachronistic, and why would Janeway know about the stock market? And,
Yeah.
and even if you know about the stock, I mean, Jesse here, he could probably answer a lot of questions about 15th century mercantile exchanges, but the average person probably not going to be super well informed on 500-year-old economic systems. But all right, it works for the joke. I'm okay with it. Mm-hmm. Any other
She is a captain.
lines that popped out?
Starship captain.
One of my favorite probably was the doctor line or the Janeway line. The divine intervention is unlikely line just tickled me, and Robert Picardo's delivery of that.
Well, they did it.
Fantastic.
They did a couple of those things where Janeway's like, the question isn't where we are, it's when we are, Mr. Kim.
I like my favorite part about Dan's Captain Janeway impression is that every line concludes with him going, "Blah!" There's coffee in that nebula.
And then, did you say there's coffee in that nebula?
Yeah, that's a famous
what she said, yeah.
Janeway line.
Oh, did she say that? Was
Yeah,
she joking?
They needed
No, she was serious. She needed fucking coffee.
Something for their replicator. Their replicator was losing its
Oh,
charge.
that's right. Yeah, I remember
And
now.
she had-
They weren't
Yeah.
shitting enough.
And so
There wasn't enough shit.
What's his
Yeah, it
face
wasn't-
had some kind of weird coffee made out of some kind of
Neelix,
other-
yeah.
There
it wasn't even chicory
there wasn't-
coffee. It was something else.
There wasn't literal coffee, but in a way there was. There was like the molecules with which they construct coffee.
yeah,
Banana splits in that nebula.
Yeah. There's all sorts of shit in that nebula then. Follow up to
I
that
like the
last
idea of
one.
banana splits much better.
The last one was the follow up to that last one about it's not when we are, it's not where we are, it's when. Chakotay goes, well, Catherine, you got us home, and she's like, right place, wrong time.
Giggity, giggity.
Now I'm just
And
out
like,
of control.
Those people are always getting messed with. Those
Right
people-
place, wrong time.
The crew is always getting messed with.
Yeah.
Like they're always like we're about to figure out a way to get back, and then it's like, oh, it didn't work. And,
It is one of the tricky things about Voyager.
I'm-
Even some of the best episodes are just psychological torture for this poor crew.
Yeah.
I know. By the
rug
way,
pull-
it's,
rug
it's
pulling.
Earth. There's Earth right in front of us.
Sci-fi rug pulling.
I want to just
Yeah.
real quick. I want to say I love Kate Mulgrew's delivery.
Oh, yeah,
and
100%.
I'm making fun of it because I love it so
Oh,
much.
yeah,
think
it's
I
like
think
making,
it's a
it's like
great-
making fun of Kirk, Shatner's Kirk, It's,
Or your voice you do for like, that's my number one dad.
My number one.
I love any excuse because that's my favorite thing. No, Kate Mulgrew is fantastic.
That's your number one voice.
Well, and
Yeah.
it's
Whoa,
one
totally.
thing that's great about this episode is they
my
really
number
they
one
give
voice.
everybody opportunities.
one voice.
They give everyone opportunities and pretty decent opportunities considering, right? Like Kim gets to do all this,
Oh yeah.
captaining,
So
right?
part one was should have been called Harry's Big Day.
Yeah.
And part
Harry's day in the seat.
with another part, I guess that isn't as.
Although he did seem aggravated when she's like, "Do you want another round in the chair?" I mean, he was just like, "Yeah."
The chair.
I mean, clearly I can handle
Well,
it.
part two. Yeah, I know. She's always talking down to Kim. Everyone just.
Why can't he
Never
get
got a
fucking
promotion.
promoted?
Can't
though?
get a fucking promotion.
So with part
Tom
one,
Paris got promoted, demoted, and then promoted again.
Yeah.
if part one was Harry's big day, part two was the Doctor's big day, and that's actually the two takeaways we got from this episode because they ended up geographically in the same location.
Yeah.
There was no progress progress made whatsoever, but there was
character growth.
There was character growth. The Harry got his first chance at the bridge, which is less talked about, but it happened. But more importantly,
and a fair amount of screen time doing it too.
Yeah, he did. And more lasting effect, noticeable is of course the Doctor gets to be a real boy or whatever.
Yeah, gets his 29th century hollow emitter.
Yeah.
But Neelix got. I mean, I don't like any of the Neelix stuff, but I respect that they gave him stuff to do.
I enjoyed them watching like the TV. That's an old.
I enjoyed it. This is a me problem.
It's old hat when they get into watching soap operas because that's always happens. But I liked it in this for some reason they did it right. They did that old gag really funny.
I like Kess's point about the value of non-interactive media.
Yeah, but don't they read books in the future?
Yes, her point didn't entirely make sense.
People read books.
Because they do read
they
books.
They don't have the time.
And some of them watch movies, but
and granted, the Xbox Connect had not come out at this point, but the Xbox Connect did prove that was the one where they had the camera and you moved around to play video games. They were like, "This is going to change. Nobody's going to hold a controller again." Well, as it turns out, part of the fun of playing video games is to get to sit on your ass and like lie around.
It is kind of fun.
Yeah, it is, and I love it, and that's part of the greatness of. So that's
it's like when you're playing VR games and it's like you can walk around. Nope. No, I'm going to sit here in VR.
And this is the look. I'm a streaming dude through and through.
Hey, guys, everyone, look. Dan is a streaming dude through and through.
You said it best, Patrick.
Yes.
You just said it too, Jesse. Both of you perfect. But I will say...
I was only repeating what he said.
But there's something fun about going to a hotel and dealing with their shitty, weird, like, cable that always has the movie channels. You're like, wow, look at all these movies.
And the cable, it's an HD TV showing an SD signal stretched out.
It's all terrible.
Yeah.
And
grainy.
And so part of the fun about it is the non-interactivity. With a streaming service, they've tried to do things to circumvent it.
You mean you gotta push buttons?
Yeah, you gotta choose what you want.
You have to select a program?
Now, Netflix and places, they try to do things like, we'll play you something for you, but nobody wants to do that.
But even the random, you still gotta click something to get the random thing.
Yeah,
you gotta click the random button.
Yeah, and when you're in the random, and when you're in the
button.
random, you can try to find
when you're in the random. Sounds like an Orville episode.
When you're in the random,
I don't want Netflix.
We're in the random.
So when you're in the random, you know that there's thousands of other like options you have. When you're watching TV, there's only like 80 other options because they're just different channels. So TV,
and in a hotel, it's 4 other options, including the hotel channel where it just shows you the local highlights.
Yeah, the local highlights.
There's a bunch of channels that aren't even channels.
Yeah.
But the point being is that we do value like non-interactivity just to be lazy, to the point where I say a lot of people, myself included, from time to time, overall I prefer a streaming guy because I'm what? Mm-hmm. A streaming guy through and through.
You're a streaming guy through and through.
Sometimes TV is great because you get to be put even less amount of effort into TV than watching Netflix or HBO Plus or Max Prime or whatever or those things.
But you actually watch TV?
But no, I don't anymore. I never watch TV. But that's why
I don't have TV.
No, I don't either. I don't have.
Who has even?
No. But that's why I say when you go to a hotel, it's kind of neat because it's like, wow, I don't have any choice of what to watch. I can press
it's
up
so
and
weird.
down, and so that what my point is.
You can usually find some Seinfeld.
So my point is that it takes even less effort to watch TV than it does for streaming. So if you're too lazy to use an Xbox Connect and you go to the streaming, well, you can be even lazier than that. And I'm arguing that TV is lazier than streaming, is lazier than Xbox Connect, is lazier than the holodeck.
And by the way, your point about the books is a very important one,
well,
but it was still an interesting scene because we knew what they were doing. The writers were saying Star Trek spent so much time being all like, we don't bother with the TV anymore. So now Kess is saying like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
No, I actually, and exactly what you said, Patrick, is I agree because I think I like that they gave an explanation for why they don't watch movies, because we're always left wondering, it's like, what did they just did they forget how to watch TV in the future?
On Enterprise and Discovery, they're watching the fuck out of some movies.
Yeah.
Except on Discovery, they watch them on some weird translucent screen, and it's upsetting and confusing.
But they never explain why, because I'm always wondering. It's like, why aren't they watching a movie or TV and like the older Trek stuff? And this is why they gave this Voyager was probably the first time they ever tried to give an explanation.
They were moving a little bit away from the because the TNG vibe was in the future. All people care about is classical music, not because that's what they care about, but because that's easier to license for a syndicated television program.
And and plays
because they didn't want to license the clips for TV shows. By the time they got to Enterprise, Paramount was like, yeah, we can just we'll just play some clips from
got a whole library of shit.
One of our movies, you know,
Right.
not a big deal.
We'll play these
same thing
songs
with the music,
the
right? Everyone's like,
70s.
on Discovery, it's crazy that they're listening to contemporary music. No, it's absolutely not crazy. It's just that in the past Star Trek, they couldn't afford to pay for the rights.
Do you know that's the reason they had Gok is because they couldn't afford the rights to pay for Carbonara.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
It's true. All right.
It's true.
after that revelation, let's take a quick break.
Oh,
And when we return, we'll discuss more things, including since we're talking about the 90s, not only the 90s, but the representation of computers in the 90s. All right, we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. And here's the thing. We're talking about the computers.
Here's the thing.
And I was offended. I was legitimately offended.
Hyper Pro
It was-
PC.
That was how it was back then. Whenever they showed computers, it always looked like something silly, like not.
Fatal error,
Not like-
skull
Yeah.
and crossbones graphic,
Yeah.
Right, yeah, it looked like some video game. And her OS looked
password, put in the
or
password.
something more primitive than what was actually people were actually using.
She was playing when she was looking up the sky. Her OS. She was playing some mix of Sim Earth and Sim Beat Boops or something. Like there was something.
Yeah, it did look like Sim Earth.
It looked like some kind of weirdness that wasn't
Sim Earth,
right.
for people who are not aware, was the much less successful follow-up to Sim City.
Because you know you can pick up and play Sim City.
It was
You
nuts.
can't
Sim Earth
do that
was
with Sim Earth.
was a problem. We all played it, but it was like, what the fuck is going on? I just see a bunch of like graphics. I'm not graphics, like little blocks, different colored blocks. It was sort of like the Game of Life, you know, the algorithm, but Sim Earth style. You know,
and
incorporated that. Anyway,
And there's all this action going on with this fucking all over the planet. It's weird dots.
I'm prefacing all these complaints.
It was a weird looking.
I guess I'm not prefacing it because I've already complained. I will note that I understand there's production stuff. And the producers are thinking of the audience, and they're like, audiences in 1996, computers were spreading around and getting more popular, but they weren't ubiquitous like they were after 2000, right? And a lot of people wouldn't know what the fuck a computer even was. Like they know in their head, they're like, oh, a microcomputer, but they don't necessarily have one in their
Micro
house.
Machines.
And so they
This is
wanted
back when we were talking about mainframes.
they wanted to convey
Right.
They
They
want-
access the main.
I remember I was
Before
16.
cloud
I was
storage.
16 years old when this came out. A couple of us here ran
was
bulletin board systems before there
I
was an
18
internet.
years old.
And so when we
Well, there
when
was an
we-
internet, but there wasn't like a
before there
popular
was the World Wide Web,
thing.
before the World Wide
Wide
Web.
Web.
And so when you have that context, even at 16, I was like, what the fuck is this? It was
Yeah.
like when you watch the movie Hackers, or like in Jurassic Park.
Hackers is amazing.
In Jurassic
It's so
Park, when it's like, this is Unix. I know
know
Unix.
this. Because I know this.
And for some reason, she has to navigate a 3D vector graphic.
Yeah, right.
And then do you remember that other Michael Crichton book, Disclosure, that was made into a movie?
I never even heard of this.
Oh, and that has a whole like 3D,
remember-
like the files are stored in a virtual world where you pull out drawers in virtual. It was crazy.
I think they made fun of that in Community. And, and there's an episode where they have VR and they're basically doing that in Community.
It's ridiculous.
Like-
but
Well, Michael Crichton was always
Futurama.
writing about some kind of computer future. Like Congo was all talking about computer future.
and also gorillas that
Rising
had
Sun.
stone paddles and smashed people's heads.
yeah, that
with
was
a stone
cool.
paddle.
I was into that.
We've discussed before 90s, 80s and 90s Star Trek's representation of computers, but most of it has been representations of like slightly more future computers, like in Deep Space Nine, in the past tense two-parter, which takes place in 2024. And we were laughing because they hadn't, when that episode aired, they really hadn't conceived of the modern World Wide Web. It wasn't a popular thing yet, right? Again, similar to this episode. And as a result,
But there was video games.
they had computers, but they were all like massive computers built into desks, and there was no internet, but you subscribed to like channels
There was
for
all kinds of funky
information
buttons
because they
on
were
there.
all stuck in the
Funky
in
butt-loving
sort of like the
buttons.
cable TV business. So they just transposed the cable TV business
what
thing
a
into
nightmare.
So, but in that case,
that's so depressing.
it was funny because it was sort of a misprediction based off of a lack of. They just didn't how were they going to predict the World Wide Web, right? They would just it just wasn't. So it was an up and coming thing at that point. They didn't know it was necessarily going to take over the
I
world.
can't believe it's still called the World Wide Web. It seems silly.
WWW. But in this episode,
I thought it was just called
in
Google.
in Future's End two-parter, I don't give them as much leeway because they're presenting the contemporaneous time, right? 1996, like the show aired in 1996 and they travel back in time to 1996, right? So I'm annoyed. Not that they had to do it perfectly. I know that they had to convey to the audience, but it just looks so silly. That has not aged particularly well.
Yeah, her computer looked weird. It looked like Starling had some kind of... Remember those Next computers?
Yes.
Those Steve Jobs after...
When he got fired from Apple.
Yeah, he made those Next computers. He looked like he had one of those looking things.
They were used... I think Pixar started with all the Next computers.
Oh, did they?
I don't know. What the fuck do I know? This is not a Pixar podcast. I'm not required by law to have accurate information about Pixar behind the scenes.
You're not required by law to do shit. Except you're required to not kill people or something.
I think there's a large body of law that we are expected to follow.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Just FYI, Dan.
You better learn.
Just on your drive home tonight from the studio.
You better watch it, dude.
You might want to remember that.
Home from the studio.
It's like
when Chakotay was all looking at their icons, he was like, looks like a series of pictograms. They must have used symbols to represent different functions of the computer. It's like, I mean...
It's like, like L-Cars does similar things too. I know it's not exactly the same, but...
Yeah,
Chakotay's useless,
what do they...
dude.
Yeah, what do they use?
Why is he even on the ship?
I mean, in the future...
Should have spaced him.
Like pictographs, they never heard of an icon. Somehow icon goes out of the lexicon.
In the future,
is that the right usage of lexicon?
I think in the 24th century, they're still going to be using the like a 3.5-inch floppy picture as a save icon.
Yeah, right.
And it'll be like a little notepad picture to take notes.
It's like they say, even though it doesn't look the same, they still have little pictures that represent things because pictures speak 1,000 words. Try fitting 1,000 words in a little spacey space.
You can't
like that. You can't do it.
Well, since we've
fit it on a disc,
we've segued into this.
You can fit on one of those weird wooden discs that Spock used in that
those tapes.
Balance.
They call them tapes.
The
Sega
we've
tapes.
segued into the time travel shenanigans. We already discussed a little bit about how they've portrayed 1996. What I think is interesting about this is they did a lot of on-site filming, a lot of outdoors. Obviously, it's because they're in LA already. They can just go out on the streets. But what the effect is, like what I liked about this episode that I thought was kind of interesting was they traveled back in time, but it wasn't, they had a few little fish out of water jokes here and there, but that wasn't like, they weren't hitting you on the head with it. This was more like they were just traveling to another alien place.
Yeah.
But it looked better because it was like real. So they could just go out and film it. And so like they didn't have to build all these sets to make the alien place.
Like Star Trek 4, there's a lot of jokes
double dumbass on you
about how they're just kind of not fitting in. But like this one, they're
$100 is that a lot?
They're all being kind of smooth. Like,
took a little too much LDS in the 60s.
Like the captain and like Chakotay are walking around like in those crazy suits, and everybody else is wearing their just like their fun clothes, and they're just walking around like super overdressed for like the beach or whatever the fuck it was.
Tom Paris is all like, take your shirt off.
Tom Paris is wearing some kind of ridiculous ass jeans, like. It looks
and
like
tucked it, and his shirt is only got like one button on it, and then it's all tucked in. Mm-hmm. I can't recall if that was a style. If it was, it was not a style that I adhered to.
Do you know the air date of this episode? This may shed some light on
November 96.
Yeah, no, it was two air dates. It was November 6th and November 13th is my guess.
Exactly, and so that
1996.
sheds some light in the sense that it doesn't shed any light because they have no excuse because this was like. They filmed it took place in the...
Yes, exactly. It's a contemporaneous
thing. They did the whole travel back in time to the place.
They just went outside the soundstage.
Like Star Trek 4 or like the Star Trek TOS episode that Jesse and I talked about.
It's not uncommon to do that. It's very common to do that, but they did it like on the nose, like same year. They didn't even pretend to be a couple years off or anything like that.
I'm joking here, but like basically you could see the studio lot that they normally film in like in the background. Like they were just like, all right, field trip today. We're just going outside. We're going to film you all like out here. Yeah. We're just going to throw a bunch of trash around.
We're in California.
You can chase homeless Braxton around.
We were on a spaceship and now it's California.
By the way, speaking of homeless Braxton, I like how they're doing the thing where the shows explain, like, you get these people who are sort of discarded by society, and I like how the show does that thing where like those people who are like who you think are not with it or something. They're the ones that are super in touch and they know what the deal is. I like when they do that in shows and movies. They do that every once in a while where they talk about. I think they probably do it in 12
Yeah,
Monkeys.
but that guy was still messed
12
up.
Monkeys or something like that. But
there's an episode.
no, but the point.
They were doing experiments.
No, but the
on
point
that.
is Braxton's talking about the end of the world. The end of the world is here. And it's like he actually had reason to believe that there was an end of a world of the world. But like we look at those people every day, and we think like and I know maybe it's making light of it actually a serious mental health issue. But but it's so maybe I'm an ass. Maybe I'm an asshole for thinking that.
It's a 90s way of calling attention to it, and like so many things in the 90s.
No, I
there
mean,
was some well-intentioned stuff that's still entertaining, but is a little.
Well, no, I think what I like is the idea that if you seem like really strange to everyone else, maybe you're actually super awesome. Well, that's why I like.
We do the same thing on Stranger Things with Will's mom. The stuff she's talking about is she sounds like something's not right in her head, and that she's suffering from horrible grief or whatever. But she's actually right,
and that's why I was saying
another example of that.
Yeah, right, and that's why I was saying
Ryder.
I like when these shows and movies do that, as in it's not uncommon for them to do that. I always think it's fun.
No, I like it.
It's fun.
I like it.
But then I think it's fun. But then I realize, but there is an actual reality, and then I made myself a little sad.
Fun.
Yeah, it can be a little tricky, right?
Yeah.
It can
tricky
be a
to
little
navigate that minefield.
Reality is not fun.
Yeah.
So
the question I have though is like, what are your thoughts on? And again, not to nitpick, but I'm going to nitpick.
that Rain admits to her boss that she keeps beer in the fridge.
No,
he's not really her boss.
I don't even recall that exchange.
He was talking about, he's like, I'm going to break open my bottle of Chateau Coeur or whatever. And she's like, or if they're not into that, I got a 6-pack in the fridge.
Australia, I got a 6-pack in the fridge.
She was already in the first, when you first see her, she's got some kind of bottle or
flating all
something.
their veils. What I was going to ask is do you think it's reasonable?
6-pack in the fridge, yeah.
Do you think it's reasonable that this Henry Starling fella, we'll talk more about him in a second, but just the idea is he found this ship and then he's reverse engineered it to slowly release technology. And in 1996, with computers that have skull and crossbones as error messages, he's saying he has no choice but to travel to the future because he's advanced technology as much as he can from a 29th century time ship.
Yeah.
And he's gotten like very basic desktop computers.
That's a good point. Like,
does that make sense?
They haven't even figured out the whole design.
Now, I think another point, this is where we can provide our own lived experience, is in 1996, yes, compared to today, computers were much more... Compared to today. Computers were much more primitive and much more limited, but we had super VGA graphics.
Yeah, you did.
Why is all this stuff on these computers all like CGA? You know what I'm saying?
Imagine
it's like
how many
4-color CGA graphics.
Imagine how many VGAs they have on a time ship from 29th century.
It's like ultra VGA.
Yeah, ultra.
It's like mega ultra.
Mega ultra super style.
Super VGA.
Super.
1024 by
like
768. Was that what it was? 1024 by... Because it was like 800 by 640. Or no, 640 by 380. I'm forgetting. 640.
He stole about 3 terabytes worth of data from Voyager.
Which is a lot.
It is actually for information.
It's still like
but
a
it's
lot.
probably were a lot of big old PDF and like graphics and movie files and stuff because they all have movie files.
They don't watch movies.
Oh, that's right. Watch it.
Do they keep them on the ship just in case?
They have holotainment programs. Holotainment, hollow education, holocation. I'm uncomfortable.
I was getting uncomfortable with wherever you were going.
I am deeply concerned about the idea that in the 29th century or the 30th century, whatever, that they have a time ship that is so easily fucked with. I mean, it's shot.
You built a time ship out of a DeLorean?
So they shot Voyager.
That's a Back to the Future reference.
Yeah, so they took
the first one specifically.
So they have this ship that can go through time and blast the fuck out of shit. So they're gonna blast the Voyager
with a like circular ray beam.
Well, I mean, it was no Romulan plasma ball, but like, but okay. So so it takes out Voyager, no problem, right? Wrong. Like the Voyager just hits them back, and they both fall into this time rift that fucks up time. Like there should be a failsafe that says if you travel through time, you close that rift before anything else is possible. Because they shouldn't just casually take a hit and fall through time.
It's
and then,
shoddy time coppery.
Yeah, it is. That's That's exactly what it is. And
we gotta start a band just so we can name a song or album. Shoddy time coppery.
The other that leads to my next point, Jesse, is why build a time ship that can just happen to explode like all of this dimension or whatever time. Whenever people talk about like destroying time, I wonder how far that extends. Is that for the universe
They kept saying
or
just
the
the
dimension?
solar system. They were making a big point.
So
it was kind of hilariously overt how they were like, "Oh, it's gonna fuck everything up." Well, like it's gonna fuck up the solar system because they wanted to make they were like, it's not gonna destroy the whole fucking everything.
That was pre-burn.
So it's like
it was pre-burn.
So it's like if 1,000 enterprises did warp 9 like over and over again in the solar system for like 30 years.
You mean like doing warp 9 donuts? And
Yeah.
purposely. Is that like a rolling coal? You know about the people who are like fuck the environment and they purposely.
No, I'd never heard about.
It's called rolling coal. You see people
coal.
driving along the road and they're all like purposely trying to put out as much pollution as possible
Just to be an asshole.
They gear it anyway.
So I guess that's what happens. That's what happens. It's the same as if a bunch of warp drive went around.
Well,
but this time ship. This time ship, very specifically, it's like, oh, you push the wrong button and time falls apart in the universe. Like, that's another the shitty time coppery.
And I will add this, even though it doesn't 100% apply here. This is a minor thing, but it's just anytime time travel is involved. Anytime.
Anytime
It's the time directive.
And more specifically, forget about time travel. It's anytime somebody has a time travel device, a ship, a vehicle, whatever it is, they have a time ship. And when you have a time ship and are still in a hurry, that always rubs me the wrong way.
But Bill and Ted explained it.
I know.
They have the watch that follows normal time because there's still normal time.
I know you can always.
I think Tenet did that too, or something.
You could always create.
I don't know.
You create scenarios in which there's a hurry.
Yeah,
and
that's the plot device.
And they do that in this episode. Yes, they do that in this episode. However, I just wanted to comment that it's even if they do it right, which I do think they did it correctly in this episode, it's still funny. It's just the concept of like I've got a time machine because I always think of that Marty McFly he's all like, what am I thinking? I've got a time machine, but he picks 10 minutes before. Like he picks 10 minutes. Why didn't he pick a couple days before? You know, that sort of thing. It's like you're not in a hurry. You have a time machine.
I have to destroy the Voyager right now.
Yeah, that's the one sort of loophole that they've never solved in time movies is how to get by this whole nonsense of time travel.
They come up with some clever ways to get around it, but like it's like, okay, if you stab the guy or if you're running out of juice or something.
I think the time thing I was thinking wasn't Tenet. It was that Chris.
Which one of them? There's lots of Chris's.
Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt did that Amazon Prime time movie.
I didn't watch it.
I think I watched it because I was really bored.
That's all right.
Is that the recent thing?
It was like almost a year ago.
Almost a year.
Not the newest one, which is a TV show, which I have no interest in.
Okay.
But anyway, that's not. There was some kind of thing where it's like, well, you got time, and then you got like your other time that go. Yeah, you're right. It's absurd. It doesn't make any sense.
It's fine.
Yeah,
it's a conceit we have to accept. And when the writers are on point, they come up with convincing enough. And here's what I'll say.
Well, I mean, time travel. We know it never ever works. It never makes any sense. There's always something that just is blatantly ridiculous, and that's just we have to accept that.
And I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
it's part of the deal.
The best stories are the ones where when you're watching, you don't give a shit. Right? Back to the Future. And I'd argue even this episode, I wasn't giving a shit about a lot of these things.
I didn't care.
But
it's the flux capacitor. It's what makes time travel.
Because they're so balls in your face about this just makes time travel
Who's
possible.
Secretary of State? Jimmy Stewart?
It's got those two tubes kind of going, it's
like we're specifically
the flux capacitor is what made that movie possible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're so specifically like we're not going to explain anything about this because that's not the point.
And exactly, that's the genius of Back to the Future. And I would say maybe not genius, but the writers did a really good job in this episode where they were not worried about that. Like they were like, here's the deal. We're just putting the pieces in place so that we can have this particular story.
Putting the pieces in place for particular powers.
And
putting the pieces in place for particular powers.
Yes, and one of the key
spit all over me.
One of the key aspects of that story.
Key specs.
One of the key aspects of this story that they're telling is they're playing around with this sci-fi idea, which is not original to Voyager. I believe it's been done in the past before, but this idea of people somehow obtaining information from the future and then using it for their advantage. And in this case, the whole being able to get rich off of technology, right? That's a cool story to tell. And as you noted, Dan, there's some character growth in that they give a new ability to the Doctor.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
It's not
That really opened up things up.
And there's not so much that happens in this episode as a result, but we know that it's now going to be, there's all this stuff that he can do now, and that's going to give a lot of options to the writers in the future. Harry Kim being given a little bit more responsibility, which simultaneously is great and accentuates the peculiarity of him never getting promoted or treated.
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
It's kind of weird to have an ensign running the con.
Yeah, that was weird.
Harry Kim's a good
They've
dude.
they've got other lieutenants and commanders on that ship. Other than him,
I thought that didn't make a lot of sense.
it's sort of one way you could look at it is that
Maybe she's-
Voyager's a little cliquey.
Yeah.
A little cliquey. If you get in with the good clique, you get to hang out.
Right.
Harry Kim's always on those senior staff meetings.
He's on the bridge somehow.
Well, let's see. He had to make some decisions. He had to.
That fella plays a mean clarinet.
He almost said censor, not quite, but he almost says
Sometimes,
censor.
yeah, he's kind of.
But he had to make some decisions, like he had to risk going within 10 kilometers to beam them up, or disobey the captain's orders to do it and save the captain. That's always a tricky one when you got to disobey the orders to save the captain.
And was there any?
That's what Starfleet's
This is
all
in
about,
order.
baby.
Was there any? This is in order.
No, there wasn't. But what there was,
inertial dampening.
So again, a reminder to new audience members that Dan has
was inertial
a
dampening.
bugaboo around when people use the term phrase. This is in order, but
That's
it's
an order.
But there's a specific scenario in which he's displeased with it, and other scenarios in which he's either neutral or in favor of the use of that term.
when it's appropriate, like they say,
It's just when it's appropriate.
When-
by your rubric.
when it's
Which I agree with, by the way. I agree with your rubric.
well,
When
it
it's
was-
like standard chain of command
if
operations.
Janeway was like, Harry, you got to get out of bed. It's time for work. He's like, no, I don't want to. That's an order. That would be appropriate.
I just like the idea of, now, in this scenario, is Janeway calling him on the comm system, or is she in his bedroom?
She knocks on his door.
Does she have
Has
like,
she-
a piece of toast in her hand and like a cup of coffee? Like,
No,
She's
no,
used the
she's-
security override.
No,
she's
there's
hovering over him.
There's no funny business. It's just her
Hey,
coming.
Put your
yeah.
clarinet down and wake up.
Yeah, she's over his bed, but she has a cup of coffee. She'd just come in and was like, yeah, that's a good. It's like
like,
mom.
dumps it on
Mom would have done. Yeah. So this one, what they did, I don't like it when they're like, when Harry Harry's like, Janeway, I'm gonna save you. And she's like, no, save yourself. He's like, I won't do it. I'll save you. And she's like, that's an order, Mr. Kim. And then she falls off the cliff. He's like, no, but I was following orders.
We have had the idea in the past of doing like a bonus episode, which is just Dan reading all the parts in the Star Trek script. And I'm just
Yeah.
reminded that I still want to do that.
Yeah, I don't know if I should do it with voices or just do it straight though.
I'm not going to give you any
little
advice.
both.
I want it to be all Dan.
It would be-
I want it to be.
Dan production.
I want it to be just whatever is flowing through you.
I think
at
it would
the
be
time.
when whatever was happening in the moment. I would probably go with
Yeah,
that. And,
I'd say
just
that's-
do the whole script.
It's the best route.
So what they did say that I noted is Janeway said, "You have your orders," and she didn't say. I sound like butthead.
It's Janeway.
I sound like
Janeway or the Spaceway.
He goes,
You have your order.
"You have your orders.
Have your orders.
You have your orders." Number 1, I order you to take a number 2.
Fire.
Yeah, that's Harry. Beavis and Butthead. Is that dated?
No, it's new. Beavis and Butthead's back. They're starting
Sort
new
of.
episodes
keeps
Oh,
the
they
coming
next
do new
back.
week.
episodes. That keeps coming back. Right.
They had a new movie out that I haven't seen yet, and new
Right, right.
episodes.
I knew
coming
about
out.
the movie. I didn't know. I figured they must have new episodes, but I wasn't sure. Anyway, so it would have been in this instance, though, it would have been totally appropriate if she said that's an order. So she said you have your orders. I like, because I'm also a big fan when they take sort of like overused lines and basically say the same thing, just reword the lines, move the words around a little.
And,
I like
and
the effort.
semantically means a slightly different thing. It's saying you have your orders. I trust you to
Yeah.
make decisions that
Good
are
point.
appropriate.
Right. Language is crazy like that.
Language
So-
is fucked up, man.
Yeah. So
Especially the English language.
She could have said she could have said that's an order and it would have been okay.
angles.
But I've been trying to pay less attention to that because I think people. I think my opinion is known by this point, right? So I'm always worried. Now I'm worried about bringing it up.
so.
No,
I'm worried that
I
I'm
like
beating
it
a dead
when-
horse
I like
at
it
this
when you
point.
point it out, and it's a certain flavor that.
It has a certain je ne sais quoi,
Yeah.
a certain denouement.
Yeah, no. Well, the second one doesn't work. The
Yes,
first one works.
I know.
You know what je ne sais quoi means?
Certain I don't know.
Yes.
Something.
Do you know what? Do you know what Mardi Gras means?
Something.
Fat Tuesday.
Fat Tuesday.
There you go.
Denouement.
Marty.
Je t'aime à toi. Tout à l'heure, mon frère.
Zutaloa.
All right. Yeah,
Take a
that's the
break.
catchphrases. Yeah, you know what? Normally Jesse asks way too early to take a break, but this is right
It's
about
like, that's it. I'm ready. That's it. I'm
this is
calling it.
right about
I was okay
I'm
with this
calling
break
it.
asking.
This is right about the time that we should take a break, which, as we've explained before,
Got more
we've
of
done
a
extensive
feeling.
studies, and we find that our audience handles our particular brand of analysis and entertainment slightly better if there is at least the illusion of brief stoppages in our discussion.
It just gives people a chance to hit themselves in the head a
It's
few
about
times.
it's about
restart.
phrasing. It's all about phrasing.
Right.
Yes.
We're ending our phrase.
Yeah. All right. So we will be
We'll slur through the next one.
right back.
Flurbity flurbs.
All right. We're back. It's the final section of the show.
The
Some break.
final section of the show.
Final section of the show. A few more things that we should discuss.
Talk
One
about
thing-
this. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say the whole Henry Starling, the hippie genius.
yeah.
I'm fascinated by this more so than I ever was. I've seen these episodes a million times, but like in rewatching them in preparation for the podcast, I was really thinking about it. I was like, okay, in the opening teaser, we're introduced to Henry Starling.
They show us a rose on his arm just to let us
Just
in
to-
case we couldn't figure it
yeah.
out. So that was supposed to let us know later that was
Yeah.
the same person, even though it was
It
like
was fucking obviously Ed
Yeah.
Begley Jr.
Yeah, right.
like wearing a goofy ass wig and a mustache.
Yeah.
And so here's what's peculiar, and forgive me as I walk through this because it's a
you
little.
got to be
it's a little
careful.
convoluted.
Choose your words carefully, bro.
Just woke up here.
I may not forgive you.
In the opening teaser, we're presented with a hippie,
Call it a cold open.
camping, chilling out in the middle of fucking nowhere,
A
enjoying
hippie by
nature,
himself somehow.
tripping on mushrooms or whatever.
What's up with that?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. He's by himself.
Isn't that some kind of Steve Jobs kind of dealing? Was he like
Something
that kind of
like
person?
that, yeah.
Yeah, probably. But the thing was,
I don't know. I'm just-
Okay,
something.
no,
I know
no,
Steve
that's
Jobs
a good
was-
observation. That's a
Steve
good
Jobs
observation.
was
Those
a
computery
hippie guy.
dudes were a lot of those guys were hippie guys.
Yeah, and they still are. You still got to do a bunch of mushrooms if you're going to do anything with computers. Everyone knows that.
You got to think outside the box.
You got to think outside the fucking time dimension.
How do you think they made Taco Bell? That's how they made Taco Bell.
Taco.
So he is a apparently sort of stoned hippie
outside of the
dude.
bun.
It's got very. First of all,
Playing
the
drums.
opening teaser has very like Fire in the Sky vibes. Did any of you all see that movie?
I have not.
All right, so I saw Fire in the Sky in the movie.
I need to
theater.
see
that
that
Twin
in
Peaks?
Jacob's Ladder.
No, you don't need to watch for Jacob's Ladder. It's a great
Oh,
movie.
jeez.
It's a fantastic movie.
No,
Do not watch
You
it.
don't need to see that.
It will fuck you up.
Well, then of course, then
Watch
you
the Deer
know
Hunters.
that means I have to watch it then. So
But
No.
Fire in the Sky,
don't do it.
which came out around this time, actually.
Around
I think a
this-
little bit earlier, perhaps, but I don't remember the exact date because I did see Fire in the Sky in the theater. And what Fire in the Sky is it's a movie about an alien abduction that's a quote unquote true story, right? It's an actual tale. I believe in the 70s this happened to this fella. And he's basically at a lake with some friends, and this guy is like somehow separated or whatever. He sees an alien,
Oh, right.
the alien ship comes, and he gets abducted.
Yeah, right. Okay.
The way they directed this was very similar to that Fire in the Sky vibe. Of course, the twist is we don't see how it happens, but there's a hippie guy camping. He sees a time ship. Okay.
are we doing spoilers for Fire in the Sky here? Is that what's going on?
No, I'm talking about this episode.
Oh,
is
okay.
The episode.
And there's no spoilers for Fire in the Sky because the guy, I
already
would
spoiled.
argue, was not in fact kidnapped by aliens. There is a great scene where they put a needle in his eye, and you see the needle going into his eye from the eyeball perspective, which is pretty rad. But yeah, Fire in the Sky is not a quality movie. In fact, one important point to make about Fire in the Sky is a packed movie theater. Everyone's getting ready. Everyone's doing their mumbly stuff during the previews and stuff. And then the lights go down and everything is in. The movie starts. And right before the start of the movie, fade in big letters on the screen. It says based on a true story. And the entire fucking theater erupts in laughter. That was the rest of the movie.
That was probably the highlight.
No, but in this movie, and in this TV episode.
Yeah, what are you talking about anyways? Get to it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, thank you. I appreciate it.
Damn, dude.
I appreciate that. In this TV episode, he's a hippie in the woods, and he sees an alien ship.
Fucking sellout.
We don't see what happens, but at some point, somehow he gains access to this ship, fucks over Braxton.
Yeah, there's a
like,
whole
all
missing
this stuff.
piece.
We don't know how any of that
and
worked.
At first, I kept wondering, like, what happened to the rest of his crew? And then I was like, wait, okay, it was a small ship. I didn't even think to pay attention to that
It was just
aspect of it.
a one-seater,
Now,
I think.
yeah, now I'm a little slow, so a lot of people probably picked up on that right away. But
they
like,
picked up on that on episode 1 of the It's Got Started. I'm just joshing.
That doesn't even make sense. How would they have picked up? How would they picked up on that from the first episode?
I was implying maybe you said something stupid.
I did say something.
They picked up on the fact that you were slow.
Wow, that wasn't irony, was it? That was just one of them things when I was just too slow to get the slow joke. It's like some meta irony. Yeah,
but they don't show us what happens.
Yeah, so for a minute I was like, what happened to that guy's crew? And then
was it a hot minute?
And then I was like, it was like a good 20 minutes.
One hot?
And then I was like, wait a minute. Oh, his ship was just one person. But the point being is like what you just said. They skipped over a bunch of shit.
We don't know how. There's a few things we don't know. First of all, we don't know how he actually obtained control of this ship.
Nope.
Got the ship someplace.
He just said he got it.
Started a company, and now I'm not going to make the mistake that the Voyager writers did. I'm not going to stereotype. I'm not going to say that some hippie stoned guy in the woods can't be a computer genius. It's 1967. It could be that he was an MIT grad, computer engineer of some
Or
sort.
some kind of Cal Tech or something.
But we don't know. They didn't give us any of that
all
information.
those Atari dudes were always stoned
Berkeley.
and shit.
Well, yeah, like I said, you have to be on mushrooms to do anything with computers. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that.
Everyone knows that.
Mushrooms are so weird, dude.
If you try to do computer stuff and you're not on mushrooms, it's just not going to work. Everyone knows that. Okay, so, I mean, qubits, quantum computing, get out of town.
That's absurd. That's just stupid when you
Get
say it
out
out
of
loud.
town.
When you say it out, qubits.
Get the fuck out of
It's like Qbert.
Yeah. Can't come up with a qubit without a qbert,
Right.
and how to get a qbert from
Qbots.
So that's a puzzling thing.
Keyboards.
I'm not, like I said, I don't want to stereotype and say like, oh, he's just some dumb hippie. How could he figure this out? I can account for the fact. Okay,
Well, all those hippies turned into sellout businessmen,
okay,
right?
no, see, this is where I'm getting at. So
voted
this
for
is where I'm
Reagan
getting
and
at. What
shit.
I'm trying to suss out what the point, if there's a point here, and I do think, consciously or otherwise, I expect consciously, they are making this connection because for contemporary young people today, what you might not be aware of is that growing up in the 80s, there was this sort of accepted conceit that you had a what are you doing in there? There was this conceit that you had a certain subset of hippies who were all free love stoner hippies in the 60s. By the 80s, they all turned into piece of shit stockbrokers and shit like that, right? So that is I think that's something that if you're not familiar with that lived experience of like, oh, these people used to be all about anti-war and free love, and now they're all about just raping all of the earth of all its materials.
What about
and
Jenny
stuff.
from Forrest Gump?
I don't understand the connection.
She was a hippie.
Yeah, she also became an asshole, but not a corporate asshole.
She dropped her kid.
But anyway, that's a thing that exists, and so I was trying to square this because I was like, okay,
not a corporate asshole.
So here's what I'm trying to get at. Let me phrase it this way.
Wait, you're starting over again?
No, I'm not starting. I'm rephrasing. Working backwards from the premise, which is
refactoring my structure of words.
working backwards from the premise of a person gets information from the future and uses it to make a bunch of money.
Now we get it from the super highway.
They could have done this story and had the person who captured the ship be already a corporate asshole or be a government person or whatever. They picked a hippie person.
Right. They were trying to say something.
And you could argue, oh, they just picked it because it was funny or it was cool or they wanted to have that fire in the sky vibe. Because that could be that's an argument right there. Is there like, we want to mimic fire in the sky for the opening. We want to mimic the direction and stuff. So we're going to.
I thought it was like supposed to be a Steve Jobs thing, but I wasn't sure because I don't officially know what Steve Jobs did in the 70s.
Because they said how like that's how these people, that's how they came up with computers in the 20th century or whatever.
Right.
Like they sort of made a point of like,
so
they went on vision quests and shit.
So that's point number one is what exactly are they saying? I'm guessing they're probably subtly making that connection of that, which at the time in the 90s would have been sort of a well understood thing that a lot of quote unquote free love hippie people turned into pieces of shit assholes later. And maybe that's what they're going with here. Okay. I can buy that, but it's just, I'm curious about that. I'm curious what you guys think. I'm curious what the audience thinks. I'm curious about a whole wide variety of things that aren't even on this topic.
Yeah, about hippies and why they picked a hippie. Do you think? And then you said,
wonder
did
about
they
a lot
pick
of
it because
stuff
of what was
myself.
going on pop culture, or was it they were what's it called? They were lifting from another movie, or like I said, my take was it was like the Steve Jobs.
A lot of computer dudes were hippie guys,
Yeah.
and a lot of hippie guys maybe went, kind of got corrupted by capitalism.
It is interesting. What would that hippie guy be today? Actually, if it was if Ed Bagels was what the age he was then.
Ed Bagels.
Edward Bagels.
Edward Bagels. If he
Junior.
was the age he was in 1996.
Ned Bagels.
That he is now. Okay, if Ed Bagels was about 25 years younger today, what would his character be when he was?
Are you talking about Ed Begley Jr. from Arrested Development or Ed Begley Jr. from Better Call Saul?
Starling.
Okay, Henry Starling. I don't know. The other thing
That's my point is the character.
You're saying like the count.
Well, that
are you
was
talking
like
about the?
25.
I'm talking about when he was the hippie guy. When he was the hippie guy.
If he had not captured the ship, inexplicably captured a spaceship.
So this was-
single-handedly, apparently.
Right. So wait. Okay.
By the way, but we only ever see Henry Starling and his assistant. And he's got
Right.
a giant office building.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some security guards and stuff.
So okay. So that was supposed to be happening in 1967. 30 years, right? And 1996. Yeah. That
29 years. That was another thing that I
Okay, yeah,
found
it was 20
perplexing.
yeah, it
Why
was
didn't they say
29,
Why didn't they
right.
say 1966?
Yeah, you're right.
Is there something specific about 1967?
I don't know, but
Maybe that's the fire in the sky
So-
year. I don't know.
okay. So let's say that Ed Bagels is
The second year that
is-
Star Trek TOS
is
was
Starling.
on.
Starling is today in the year 2022. He's 25 years younger.
Starlings are an invasive species brought over to America
Okay,
because
well,
some
yeah,
guy
I
wanted
don't-
the air to look like Shakespeare. He wanted all the animals from Shakespeare to be in the U.S., so he brought a bunch of starlings over. Now you see them wheeling about in massive flocks.
Yes,
I dig
so,
that.
That's a side bonus fact.
And blue jays are bullies. Everyone
I like
knows this.
horrible
Or is it
birds,
red birds?
man.
I forget. It's the red birds might be the bullies.
Blue
Red
Jays.
birds.
Blue Jays are brilliant.
Okay, so
red
so
birds.
Ed Bagley Starling today is 25 years younger. So he's the age he was in 1996 in this episode.
Okay.
If you let me fucking finish,
No, I will let you finish. I
But
just
you
wanted to
this
know.
makes no sense. It's
No,
like,
no,
well,
no.
fucking let me get out more
I
than 5
want you
words.
to finish your point, but I also want to understand your point, and it's not your issue. It's my issue because this is a time travel episode. You keep saying today and 25 years later, and I don't know if you mean today, or if you mean
Okay, fair enough.
1996 today.
Fair enough.
That's
I'm going to
what
start using.
I'm confused about.
Fair enough. That's fair point.
I'm a bit confused.
Okay,
by
20.
that.
It's the year 2022.
Yes.
Currently,
Currently,
you gave away our secret.
I think that's true.
Starling is
Now people know we recorded this in the year 2020.
Pretend,
There goes our evergreen
pretend the
jinx.
character of Starling was recreated. They did a remake of this episode, and Starling. That's what I'll frame it. It's a remake of that episode made in the year 2022, with Starling as and
What
so.
the hell are you talking about?
Also,
God damn it! What the fuck am I talking about?
Every time in the episode they said Starlink, I kept thinking they said Starlink because I'm waiting for my Starlink to come.
Okay, come on, man, come on. I really want to move on from this. I really want to move, but I'm not gonna stop until you let me finish it.
We're aware of this. We've
Okay.
done 143 episodes.
So they're remaking this episode in the year 2022. Okay,
all right.
Which means 29 years ago from the remake, 2022. So 1993.
Sure.
So we look at Starling's character in 1967. What would be that version of Starling in 1993 at that age?
I honestly don't know how to answer that.
You see what I'm saying? Because like in
I do
1990s,
not, I do not see what you're
yes,
saying.
you do. Now you're just trying to get on my case. But you look at Starling's character.
That's if he didn't get a time shot.
No. Jesus fucking Christ!
I'm sorry, dude. I'm trying to get it.
I'm saying
trying to understand.
Starling in this episode is 1996. He 29 years prior, he got the alien shit. He was a hippie, being all hippie-ish in the woods, being like, whoa, far out, man, I'm finding all this shit. They remake this episode to 2022 with a character who's the same age as Starling.
Oh, so instead of a hippie, what would we be a grunge guy?
Yes, right, exactly.
Be a
Thank you.
grunge
That's
guy.
exactly what I was going for.
I got it.
Oh God, I can stop now. You don't even have to answer. I just wanted to posit the question.
Well, I'd say maybe a grunge guy, Seattle grunge.
Jeez.
But do they come up with computer tech?
No,
There were
but
still-
I mean, neither did
there were
fucking
still like
hippie.
hippie types in the 90s that were like listening to
That
Fish.
came up with important shit.
In Portland, Oregon, there were hippies.
Who came up with all the
We have some podcast friends that I think could vouch for that.
Who came up with all the future web shit into 2015? What were they doing in the early 1990s?
Who gives a fuck? No,
All
I'm
right.
just kidding.
So I get what you're saying largely. I'm a little confused, but I agree
You
overall.
just said that last part to piss me off.
No, not to piss you off.
You
I'm
know
just-
what I'm saying? Because you got it exactly.
It's truth in podcasting.
You got it exactly.
I-
so you know exactly what I'm saying.
I appreciate that you perceive that, and I
got
hope.
it,
Oh my God, now
I hope
you're
that
fucking-
true. I'm just not fully
it's
confident.
I appreciate that you perceive it as a mixture between condescension and gaslighting. No, what that was.
I'm not gaslighting you.
And condescending at the same time.
Granted, if somebody were gaslighting you, they would also say they were not gaslighting you. So that's it's always an issue with. It's like time travel and gaslighting, complicated topics to discuss.
What far out cool dudes in the early 90s went on to be like business creeps not that business creeps are bad, but
I don't know. I think by the 90s, you were just breeding business creeps from young ages.
Yeah, it was a different time. Maybe
You
it's
didn't
just
have
not
far out
comparable.
Cool dudes.
Capitalism
Exactly.
advanced to the
Yeah.
stage where they're just ruining children right out of the womb.
yeah, they're already good at it. So there's no
I get that
comparison.
Zucker
I do
part.
think another subtle point that might be in here is very subtle if it's true, is the sort of the environmentalism aspect, because part of this plot
Part of the plot.
again, when you're watching it just casually, it doesn't jump out at you. But one thing that's a little weird is this plot all hinges on the fact that this dude, again, we already said it's funny that he's gotten as much technology out of the time chip as he can with 1996 dumbass computers, and for some reason he's like, I got to go back to the future. So we know his motivation why he wants to go back to the future. We've already talked about how it's a little silly because he has a fucking time machine, so he doesn't have to be in
Back
a
to
hurry.
the Future, like the name of that movie.
Yeah. So
And Back to the Future Part 2, and Back to the Future goes to the Golden Spike in the West.
but the other aspect of it here
How the
is-
West was fun.
is that we can say Starling is just arrogant and
I keep
refuses.
thinking he's saying Starlink.
Yeah, that's what I said before. is that he is being told by many people who he knows are time travelers who are telling him, if you get in this ship and time travel to the future, not only will you destroy the whole solar system, which he says he doesn't care about, but they're saying that's what's going to happen. They're also like, you're going to die. Right. And so I kind of got the impression that there's a little bit of that, commenting on the corporate people and global warming and environmentalism stuff.
Oh,
where
absolutely.
Where it's like, you have solid evidence that this is going to fuck up the world and you don't care because you want to maximize your profits. And it wasn't super overt because they didn't mention the environment or anything, but the analogy fits very well.
But and so I'm sure like some kind of econ major will tell me how stupid I am, but it's when people
That's
That's what they do.
Econ 101.
yeah, right.
First thing the professor says, the reason you take econ is so you can go to cocktail parties and tell everyone that they're fucking stupid.
Yeah, because I had this sweet mate at school. He was so sweet. He was my mate. He was sweet.
Sweet demand curves. What kind of inputs
He was arguing. He was taking
calculus.
He was taking Econ 101, and he was arguing about how the market is like the greatest determiner of everything that's important and good and stuff like that. He's like, well, if it's not a good product, then the market will figure it out and they'll come up with a better product. And like, yeah, I get.
That's because people are stupid.
Yeah, right. And like
Some of the smartest people in the world are the stupidest
And the
people in
thing
the
is
world.
what stuck out to me is this episode was a direct, like your very basic counter argument of that whole thing is like, yeah, the market doesn't give a shit what happens
Yes.
like 10 years from now.
Yeah.
It's not like the market's going to be like, I'm hungry now. I better save my monies until 10 years from
Yeah,
now and I won't
right.
be hungry anymore. All the market cares about is now. But then I'm sure econ major will be like, actually, that's what you think, but you're wrong. So I'm not going to pretend to know more than them about that subject. But this is what I saw this episode being, that very basic argument against that, which I like that argument against it because it's like, yeah, can we fucking? And it's like, because the guy's literally like, I would rather die,
Yes.
which is like,
I look, I've had the fortune, good or bad is a subjective
You've been on
opinion.
4chan?
No, I used to program in
Good
Fortran.
Lord.
You talking about 4chan or 4chan? Oh, I haven't been on 4chan.
That was clever though.
I
Have you
learned
ever
to
been on
program-
4chan? I programmed in 4chan.
That's the first programming language I ever got to use in 4th grade. Anyway, I've taken a number of economics
I did
classes.
that logo writer with the stupid turtle.
Yeah, I did that too.
And one of the funny things is when you first learning economics, they're all about like, now note these are just models and they're greatly simplified because we don't have access to all the information, blah, blah, blah. So you take that into account. And then by halfway through the semester, they're all like, this is fucking reality in life. And you're like, wait, you spent a long time telling me
one of those things
that you've simplified this to fucking 2 data points, the world to 2 data points. And you're like, yeah, see, it works. This is what we should do now. Anyway, there's a lot of good stuff about economics and there's a lot of really good economists. I want to just note that. It's just they're not the ones that
There's
are
a bunch of dicks.
They're not the ones that are writing on blogs. Blogs.
Speaking of the supply and econ and the supply and demand curve or whatever, the most basic sort of econ formula you have.
Is this a segue into talking about Rain Robinson?
No, but
the supply and demand for Rain Robinson?
No, it was they did the whole thing.
I was 16 when this aired.
They did I was too. It's crazy. Yeah. They did the whole thing.
I was 18.
They did the whole
Weirdly, we're not the same age now.
They did the whole thing where the Braxton guy had to explain to Captain Janeway, who's taken like time ethics or whatever. And all Starfleet is taking.
And this has that famous line where she complains. She's like, "Oh, it's just crazy. It's just, temporal mechanics just drives me. It gives me a headache."
And he gave her basically the equivalent of the supply and demand curve for econ. It's like A leads to B, B leads to C, C fucks A up or whatever. I can't even remember.
Classic economics.
That's how it always goes.
He goes, that's the paradox. A leads to B, leads to C.
A paradox, a most ingenious paradox.
So when he goes, A leads to B, leads to C, leads to A, that's like your basic time travel paradox problem, right? It's the most basic shit that you know when you learn about time, and that's
self-fulfilling, self-destination.
So that's like the econ shit where it's like it's basic shit that you should know if you're a Starfleet captain. You should at least know that.
But Janeway was just being kind of grumbly.
Now,
about this.
do you think that it's like zombie movies, where in zombie movies they never know that they're zombies? They're like, you look at these things, you're like, that's a zombie, and they call them, well, these are bonesy men, you know.
Bonesy men.
And they never call them zombies. So maybe in Star Trek world, this paradox shit is like all brand new to them, even though for us it's old hat.
Well, no, I don't think it's.
Is that the second
I don't
time?
think it's
Yes,
brand
it
new.
is. I know.
But you haven't used hat on a hat yet.
Sometimes
never
it takes
used that.
them a while to figure it out. Like on even the Enterprise, like couldn't figure it out.
And we already know already as the viewer, we already know it's like, oh, that's the classic time paradox: A to B to C to A, supply and demand. One inverse relationship. That kind of
just
the
one,
same shit.
one inverse relationship.
It's just a basic thing that even if you don't know shit about shit, you know that.
Yeah, but the audience doesn't.
So
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I just
all right.
I'm just being a
We
asshole.
gotta start winding things up, but I did not want
Winding
to close
down?
things down. Yeah,
Winding up, closing down,
I said winding up.
and then you said closing down.
Well, I have one of my little
closing down.
my personality characteristics is to kind of change up regular aphorisms. Like I like to say as near as I can tell. Because I think it makes more sense than as far as I can tell, the economy is doing blah blah. I prefer to say as near as I can tell.
Yeah, my dad would always say first offhand, which just is nonsense. Doesn't really mean anything.
I'm sorry about that. It's crazy.
It doesn't mean
It's a cave.
It's upsetting.
Caveman.
But Rain Robinson,
It's upsetting.
we have to talk about Sarah Silverman's excellent portrayal of this character, Rain Robinson.
Yeah,
Now,
totes.
It's interesting having watched this show over the course of the past decades because, like I said earlier, when it came out, I was 16 and Sarah Silverman was super hot and all that other stuff and quirky and fun. So hormones definitely played into a little bit into liking the character, but I like now that I'm a withered old man.
I'm thinking about you and your hormones.
And all my hormones have fallen out where I'm still like, no, I still really love that character. And part of it is because, especially at that time, at that age, it was awesome to see a female scientist who was cool, right? She wasn't, she was portrayed as being like an awesome person. She was brave.
She liked monster movies.
She was just like an awesome person, and it wasn't this for a couple of episodes that were filled with so many ridiculous stereotypes with the homeless guy stereotype and the redneck stereotype and the Mohawk man stereotype and all that.
Mohawk man.
I really enjoyed the fact that Rain Robinson's character was not, at least not at that time, a stereotype. You could argue that she might have influenced the idea of like the cool, hip, nerdy girl who's like super sexy and hot or whatever, but not sexy and hot in a quote unquote sexy and hot way. She's sexy because she's fucking smart, and she's sexy because she's freaked out about what's going on, but she's like, I'm going to do the right thing. And she's like palling around with these like not aliens. Well, some of them are aliens, but like the future people. And I think that's super awesome. This was, I think, one of Sarah Silverman's first acting roles, if not perhaps even. I know she.
I remember being
before,
surprised to see
major.
I remember
role.
I barely knew who she was, but I did recognize. I was like, it's that person.
She was
and I didn't quite know who she was.
She was an up and coming stand up at the time. And I've
She was
heard her
on
on
like Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, I've heard her on some podcasts talking about this, how important this role was for her. She seems to really remember it fondly and as helping her career, and understandably, because when you think Star Trek has so many excellent guest actors and guest characters. But Rain Robinson stands out. You just really remember this quirky person that is, dealing with, particularly with the Tuvok and Paris and that whole.
I think they were like going to almost keep her as a character on the show, but then they decided to get 7 of 9 as a character like the next season.
They were going to have hers. They were going to have her as Borg. Are you just making stuff up?
No, he was
they were
suggesting they would keep
as
her
an additional character. Instead,
bring her back to the
instead
future.
They went a completely different direction and got a Borg.
Is that wait? Are you saying that for real?
Yes, that's what I read anyway.
That Sarah Silverman?
You read it on the internet, so it's true.
There was such chemistry with Sarah Silverman as a guest.
Yeah,
she was a very good guest.
I didn't know that.
And they were like, hey, there's this love interest angle we could do with fucking Tom Paris.
Oh, she was getting really desperate at the end. She's all like, "We should hang."
Yeah,
he's like,
yeah,
"I can't." She's like, "Well, how about the weekend?" He's like, "Nah."
Then he's all like, "They got the time ship," and she's like, "Time ship? What the fuck are you talking about?" He's like, maybe you'll get the clue now.
She like asked, "When did?" That.
Say what now?
Time ship.
Whoa.
At what point did she find out that they were spacemen?
At the very end. Basically,
because I never actually I realized
not at the very
I realized
end,
I didn't
They
know
were
which
secret
at which
agents.
point she figured out she was where her mind got blown. Was it when she saw the dude transporting away a Starling?
Well, what I liked about when Starling was transported away, she was disgusted. She had she was like an like he was being ripped apart molecule by molecule. He was.
It was. I think what pushed it over the edge is when the doctor was getting punched in the face, which apparently a doctor can fight, which is tight.
Yeah,
but
surprised him as well.
But that was interesting because it wasn't like a one aha moment. It was more like a buildup of over time all this weird shit happening. I guess it officially happened when she's like, "You guys are weird. You say things a little bit weird, and you took a million punches to the face."
She was buying into.
But I would say the transporter thing must have been like that moment.
But because before all that, I think she was buying into some version. She knew they were like not giving her all the information, but she was buying into some version of this spy stuff. And
Secret agent.
I think that there's the transporter thing, of course, but I think also it's the moment when, like you said, she's trying to ask Tom Paris on a date, and he clearly is interested, but is awkwardly like, I'm unavailable.
She asks him like 3 times,
and then that's when Tom Paris is all like, "Oh, they got the time ship. They're taking the time ship. They're moving the time ship."
Right.
And she's like, "Time ship?" I think that's when she started realizing, "Oh, okay."
That's
a prime directive violation a couple times over.
Well, there was a lot of time directives that they were fucking,
Temporal prime.
like for
Prime
example,
directives.
like when Braxton got sent back in time, he wasn't
Gotta go back in time.
I guess Braxton actually did follow the rules close to the T, because Chakotay was all like, if I got trapped back in time,
T stands for time.
I'd be an archaeologist, and it's like that's not what you're supposed to do when you're stranded back in time. According to the time, according to the time directive, you're supposed to hide out in a cave, and no one's supposed to know you exist and stuff.
Supposed to put a fucking bullet in your brain.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to say it, but
Just put a
you're
fucking
certainly
bullet
not
in your
supposed to
brain.
become a fucking archaeologist.
You're supposed to go to the beach, contemplate your life, and then walk into the sea.
And then
I think that's the official
didn't Virginia
Starfleet
Woolf
protocol.
do that or something?
I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
But then B'Elanna was all like, "That's not keeping a low profile." It's like, no shit, it's not. Not only is it not keeping a low profile, you're fucking time up. That's not a joking matter. I whistled when I said that.
Yeah, I wasn't going to comment on that.
Well, I'm glad you at least waited till I was done. That's all I asked. No, you can interrupt
Are
me.
you
I don't
turning
care.
into a beaver?
I don't care.
You're talking about the beaver from Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah, he was also, I think, in Wild West Back to the Future. I think he had a bit part
guy,
in that.
Yeah, he was on Green Acres too.
Yeah. I like, you know what 4K television was invented for? You know what it was invented for? So we could figure out what fucking pinball machine that guy had in his office.
Oh,
Starling had a pinball machine.
By the way,
and
Dan.
I kept trying to find out, but because we don't have 4K in there, if we had 4K, I would have been able to tell, but I couldn't be able to tell. I couldn't know. I don't know what pinball game he was playing.
On last week's episode, Dan, when we watched that Deep Space Nine episode,
pinball's
Whispers,
tight.
Dan, you commented on how when you were watching on Paramount Plus, you saw all sorts of digital garblies and lines and stuff. And I hadn't seen that because I was watching a personal DVD copy. Now, I've got that for Voyager too, but this week I decided, I was like, I'm going to watch it on Paramount Plus at least once to see what you're talking about. And it was there. I totally saw it.
I'm not
I saw all the
alone.
garbly line. No, I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is going on?
It happens-
was a weird ass transfer.
It happens with
on
motion.
Voyager and DS. Yeah.
Especially when there's motion. There's something weird about their...
Well-
and it's one of those drawbacks to streaming. Is like, I love Paramount Plus in the sense that I'm appreciative of all these new TV shows we've gotten and the production
give a
value.
shit transfer.
But yeah, it kind of sucks. Like, I feel bad for the people who don't have access to, like yes, in terms of Deep Space Nine and Voyager, until some miracle happens and we get them remastered, we're stuck with what we've got. But there's still better versions of what we did have than is available on Paramount Plus.
Right, which is really weird. They do that.
Netflix did not have that issue.
They do that weird stuff sometimes with like remakes of video games that will include the emulated version.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if you're going to put the emulated version and sell it as a cartridge, you can just download it and like up the resolution and do all sorts of shit to like trick that shit out, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not saying
and you don't need a Game Genie or nothing.
I'm not promoting downloading games illegally. I'm saying if you already own the game and you download
But you're saying you can.
I'm just saying
you can do it.
I'm just saying
it's called
like,
a ROM, kids.
It's just
do a
obnoxious.
search for Nintendo ROMs.
Yeah, and they sell them in these compiled things that are cool to have.
You
and
can
I
get
like 'em.
every Nintendo game in like a 100 megabyte zip file. It's hilarious.
I mean, Super Mario Bros. Anyways, I won't go into the whole thing, but the Super Mario Bros. For Switch, they got a little lazy on. But yeah, so that pinball, so good. Like that, even though it sucks, I'm glad that I'm not the only one because it means like A, I'm not crazy, and B, for that reason, and B, I don't have shit equipment that's falling apart.
Who said you were crazy?
Because aren't you ever worried that you have shit equipment and everyone's like, fuck, my equipment's fine. And you're like, my equipment's shit.
I don't worry about that because I buy top quality equipment.
But what if you bought sometimes you can buy top quality equipment, but it's got a quirk that
I would
it's not
replace it.
supported in a certain way.
I would replace
and
it.
it's not the fault
I would
of
put my fucking foot
and
through
it's
the
not
screen.
the fault of the equipment. It's great. It's just it doesn't get the support it deserves from outside third-party vendors.
All right.
He
odds and
had
ends.
a train set. Oh,
Odds and ends, train set.
he had a cool office, but like you said, it was weird because it looked like there was nobody there, so it looked isolated.
Yeah.
Also,
They couldn't afford the extras.
there was one scene at the end, and maybe it was like this throughout, but I only noticed it at the end. I think it was with him and like Chakotay and Janeway there, and Mark or whatever, like in the office.
Dudley?
Where it looked like, speaking of Dudley Marcus. Speaking of, whoa, sorry, I hit the mic. Speaking of Joker,
Dunbar.
purple Joker gas. There was some kind of
Dunbar.
there was some crooked cam that made it look like the Joker, the layer of the crooks, you know, where the crooks hung out.
Good call.
In the original
Crooks.
Batman show.
There were a few interesting directors.
There was a
like,
weird, it was a crooked. It looked like the Joker's.
Like, remember
place.
the scene where Chakotay comes in and fucking destroys that ship? I mean, the truck. Right before that, that's a scene where they do that super fast zoom in on Paris's face, which is a not Star Trek thing to do.
That was weird. And then they
were like combining all sorts of influences.
Yeah, when
into this
then
episode.
when they zoomed in on the truck, it reminded me of the Stephen King book they made into a movie, Maximum Overdrive. With
Tommyknockers?
With
Was it Tommyknockers?
Emilio Estevez. I just said what the movie
Pet
was.
Cemetery?
I said it was called Maximum Overdrive. I'm sure they did it in other truck movies too.
Christine has a car in it.
Well, it said Emilio Estevez.
All right. Odds and ends?
So
Any other odds and ends?
But speaking of that, why was Paris all like, no, almost got it, I can't quite hit it, and why didn't he just? Why was he
he's
so?
a jackass.
Why was he so worried about not hitting the tire?
Because he's sexy in a howdy doody sort of way.
Because I first thought that he was worried that he was accidentally going to hit the boat, the truck,
Well,
and blow it up. But the problem is it wouldn't have mattered if he hit the truck because that's exactly what the shuttle did. The shuttle came in and blew up the truck. Anyway,
How do you miss if you're firing with beams? You can always just move the beam.
Yeah, you just
Yeah,
wave
that's
the
what I'm
beam
saying.
around.
So I was afraid that maybe he was afraid of. I thought that maybe he was afraid of blowing the truck up, but that's what the shuttle did anyways.
So, okay. First of all, Chakotay blew the fuck out of that truck. What's funny is like so much of this episode, everything's like fairly tame in terms of the violence wise, and then Chakotay comes in and just vaporizes that motherfucker. And that truck explosion was badass. They blew up. It looked like they blew up a fucking truck.
It
right?
like melted.
Yeah.
Right. The production value on this episode was great, as you mentioned. The aerial shots of Voyager and all that stuff looked really cool, both in quote unquote real life and in the camcorder. But somewhat related to your point, because I think the answer to your question about Tom Paris's firing skills is it's a plot thing.
Yeah, once again.
And I was thinking about it. I have a note where I was like, good thing the transporter was broken. Otherwise, this story would have been significantly less interesting. Because it all hinged on like, initially the transporter was like, oh, it's just broken. So we have to fly, we have to come, and again,
At least in Balance of Terror or whatever, they overloaded the phasers, which is what took them out.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the whole episode.
Look, it's fine. It's fine. It's plausible. It's just your point on Balance of Terror is a good one, where it fits in much more. It's much more. It's not just plausible. It actually sort of fits in what's going on the screen. Whereas in this case, it's like, if this story would just be over, if they could just be like, oh, just beam them up.
Yeah.
Beam up the ship, no problem at all.
Speaking of exploding cars, there was the part where the car got vaporized, which was not the exploding one.
Yes, that was a different one.
That was interesting because that was another scene. I'm reminded of, I forget which Star Trek show it was, but the Dudley Marcus, that goon. Dudley Marcus Dunbar, the goon, he shot his phaser and disintegrated that car. They shot back at him and it hit the wall and it just kind of like some crumblies fell off. I was like, that wasn't much. And then they ran off and then he shot him again and he hit a different car and nothing happened to that car.
And
it was that whole like, what does the phaser hurt? I don't know.
Was that car to Ford?
It hurts what
that must have been it.
GM. Fix it again, Tony. That's a very deep cut for King of the Hill.
It's like early in the show.
The Dunbar guy had one of my favorite quotes. It's dumb. Nobody else will enjoy this quote, but at one point he's all like, "Sir, the time ship," and like something about his delivery was both perfect and just so silly. Because when he was, he was like, "Oh, the Voyager people are going to get the time ship," or what? It was like, "Sir, the time ship." It was just like it's just the words coming out of a contemporary person wearing a thug suit. It was just kind of funny.
Yeah.
Chakotay says inertial dampers.
He does say dampers.
Inertial dampers.
Yeah, I think Jesse, you were trying to say that earlier, but
I knew that somebody had said it. I didn't remember.
I noted that too. He said dampers, so this was a 90s dampers thing.
Odds and ends. Old Man Braxton said the name of the episode. He said it'll be the future's end. I was like, oh! I did that whole meme, the whole Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he's pointing at the TV. He said,
do you think he got what he deserved by being trapped back in time for 30 years? He was a dick.
And it was all erased.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The line exchange was a little silly for a different reason, just because I wasn't buying it. When Starling goes, tell your new, because Rain comes out to be like, Starling, I need you. And she goes to Starling, he goes, tell your new friends to come out or their colleague here is going to die. And she's just like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Another King of the Hill reference. We're loaded with them.
So they talk in Arizona.
Yeah, anything. He's immature. He's immature.
The name Chrono Works with a WERX was hilarious because it sort of like predicted the future of stupidity of the world. Like Chrono Works, and Chrono. And here's the thing. Okay, like I like it. I'm not complaining about it, but it's Chrono is time. And like works is a silly way to spell works, I guess. But it's fine. However, I will say
he was a hippie.
I know you gotta inform the audience. I know you gotta keep the audience with you, and sometimes you gotta suspend disbelief a little bit. I did find it, however, a little ridiculous that the ChronoWorks satellite had a giant logo of ChronoWorks on the side of it.
I didn't even notice that.
Even in this fucking poor ass quality, you could still see, the satellite's all doing its opening up thing, which is also silly. Why would a satellite need to do that?
I know, that's what I noticed.
It doesn't need to do that.
I started thinking about, I wonder if I could go to a website and make a satellite open up right now.
But on the side of the fucking satellite is this giant, one whole side of the satellite just has a ChronoWorks logo. And I was like, look, I'm sure if you go up close to a satellite, there's a logo of the people who manufactured it, like BAE or whoever. I don't think they have a giant fucking label. Now, please
You wouldn't need to have.
Write into feedback at itsgotstartrek.com and let us know if we're wrong about that.
Up there looking
but that seems ridiculous to me. It's like, Chrono works. It's a little absurd.
Well, you're not up there looking at
who's looking at it?
Billboards in space. Like.
I liked how the time ship, when he like escaped in the time ship, and went blasting out of the side of the building. I was like,
yeah,
but that was actually, I like that. For some reason, I bought that special effect. It was good with all the shit flying everywhere.
Well, and the reason why, because when I first, and I remember even upon first watching this, my initial reaction was, that's silly. Why is it just bursting out the side of the building? But then I was like, I guess he's had it in this building for as long as he's had the building. He probably built the building around this thing.
You'd think he'd think of a better way to like leave without causing such a scene.
And again, we didn't see him capture the ship. We don't know how he got it back to civilization. We don't know how he used it to get rich and build the building in the first place. He got it on the high level. It's not like it was on the bottom floor. It wasn't in the basement of the building. It was all like way up there. Did he fly it up there? Like, questions we will never have an answer to, and we fans will merely have to suppose. It'll be a supposition on our part, exactly, to fill in these blanks.
Better than a suppository station.
Better than Ezra?
Suppository station. When people in shows,
suppository station. I don't want to.
When people in shows, they pretend to play a trumpet or some kind of instrument, and or piano or the whatever. And their fingers don't ever match up.
Right. Yeah.
So there were two scenes.
Flugelhorn.
Yeah.
That's not what I was. Yeah, I wasn't talking about that. So there were two scenes of and both were Starling acting like he was doing something. One where he was playing pinball.
Maybe because everything does feel so good.
Maybe he's a pinball wizard.
Well, so when Starling was playing, in a lot of times when people play musical instruments, that doesn't look like they're actually playing. When he was playing pinball, like he was playing, but it actually, in Billy Madison, when they're playing pool, you can tell they're just hitting the ball around the thing and not making any attempt to like get in there. But
Shampoo is better.
He was playing some serious pinball. And then another scene was when he was typing on his computer. It looked like he had his fingers resting on the Q line, and his pinky was like resting on the back button. At one point, he's like, you see his pinky resting on a key, and then you see that pinky hit that key 3 times in a row, and he's only typing on that Q row of the keyboard. So you just gotta watch that keyboard scene, see if you think that's fishy. I thought he did a better job playing pinball than he did keying the keyboard.
All right, well, we'll check that out. Any other concluding thoughts about this episode?
The pizza and TV always looks fucking disgusting, except for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, which had good-looking pizza. It was greasy.
Yeah, that's true.
And if you want to go back,
but it's always dry and cardboard. I imagine it sits around all day.
Although on the other hand, they have craft services. They should have like fresh pizza coming out all the time.
That's a good point.
But Dan has made this point before when we discussed I can't remember which podcast episode, but we discussed the Enterprise episode, Carpenter Street, where they also go back in time to contemporary times. It's another one, and they have a pizza. Although I think that one, the pizza looked all right. Mm-hmm. I think it was also unusual in that it looked all right.
Yeah. I wanted to mention that line where I said he was like, do you think E.T. likes Chateauquay? And Rain was like, well, if he doesn't, I've got, tons of beer in my fridge that I drink during work. And then it's okay, though, because at that point you saw Starling.
Do you think E.T. has an unlimited data plan?
At that point, you see Starling
good on Dan for ignoring that.
Taking like a water pitcher, and it looked like he was pouring like what I only could look like vodka into the cup. I don't know if you noticed that. He was pouring straight vodka into his glass. Right?
Was it a bottle of liquor of some sort?
No, it was a water pitcher, but it was.
Why do you think it was vodka?
Because it was clear, and he was pouring.
But water is also clear.
They were talking about booze. He was talking about some sparkling water, and she was talking about a 6-pack in the fridge. And then so he grabs a pitcher of clear liquid in a water.
Yeah, but he was talking about champagne, not a pitcher of.
I'd like to think he was drinking a full 8-ounce glass of vodka.
That's a whole nother thing to consider.
Whole nother.
That's rough.
I think that does it for us this week. And the episode was good. Really good episode.
What are we going to talk about next?
I don't know what we're going to talk about next week, but it's probably going to be Enterprise.
Isograded Circuit.
Yeah, right.
I think Enterprise is up on our schedules.
Isograded Circuit is specific to Star Trek.
If you would like to find out what we will be talking about next week so that you can dutifully watch that episode in preparation for our discussion, which is the best way to enjoy this program.
An isograded circuit was an important component of the 20th century computers, first introduced by industrialist Henry Starling in the year 1969.
It just sounds like a bastardization of isolinear.
Wait, where are you getting that from?
An isolinear.
Where are you getting that from?
They said isograded circuit in the thing.
Is that like, like when you're grating cheese for a Carbonara.
It's when you're walking around just so happy with your day and just everything you did. You're just like, I so great.
It's great.
I so great.
It's so great.
It's like when you take a cheese grater like to your knee.
And you go, I so great.
Just great flex of
This
skin
is
off
great.
of your
This is great.
And I say, I so great.
chunks of flesh.
I so great.
Spill into the
Chunks
bowl.
of flesh.
Okay, yeah,
Lumps of
that
flesh.
I'll take that as
There
a
were
signal.
there were some good hard disk drive sounds, I will say.
And well, there was also a modem sound playing for some reason when her computer was being like goofy. Remember when they were like goofing up her computer? It was all like. Yes. So next week is probably going to be Enterprise. If you would like to find out what specific episode we're going to talk about, all you got to do is head on over to that old social media the kids have been talking about for so many years. At It's Got Star Trek on Twitter.
You mean MySpace?
At It's Got Friendster.
You mean Friendster?
At It's Got Star Trek
I was
on
gonna say Napster, and that was
Instagram and Facebook and
You mean news groups?
YouTube.
You mean IRC?
We should start an IRC channel. Fuck this Discord bullshit.
I mean, that's all Discord is IRC.
I mean, we technically have a Discord channel, but we don't ever advertise it or do anything with it.
Yeah.
But IRC, I could be into that.
I mean, that's like, but I mean, no one's going to get into that. That's more of a novelty.
Yeah, but that's why people would get into that. People are into novel stuff.
People never got back into BBSs, though, when people started telnetting.
I'm still into BBSs.
Do you still telnet to BBS? Do you telnet to BBSs instead of... obviously, there's no more dial-in, but they moved them to telnet.
Not an actual fact.
You guys are silly.
But conceptually, I would be into that.
That's what I'm saying. Conceptually, it's wonderful. But
I want to play me some Trade
that
Wars and
doesn't-
some Legend of the Red Dragon.
that doesn't transfer to reality. I kind of like the idea of Usurper. But
Yeah, Usurper is better than Legend of the Red
Legend
Dragon.
of the Red Dragon
But
was
Legend of the Dragon,
streamlined.
yeah, it had like it. You know, it was like it was a comforting game,
And you could play
Usurper
for-
was a little stressful.
Red Dragon, you can put your 5 minutes in every day.
Yeah, get you
Talk
use up
to
your
the-
turns.
Talk to the innkeeper.
Yeah, talk. The way you phrased it was like kind of like talk to the innkeeper. You know, like
Yeah.
talk to the hand. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
You didn't get
So
lose the
Enterprise
effect
next
when
week.
there's no-
You've got you just type in It's Got Star Trek into Google. You'll
Or
find all their-
don't.
you'll find all their shit.
oh yeah, I did that one time, and a bunch of stuff pops up.
We're so ubiquitous
It all
that you don't
pops
have
up.
to. You don't have to type anything into Google and it will
Rate
come up.
and review on the Apple Podcasts and the Podcast
Type in
Addict
the
and
in the
Google
letter
Podcast
I,
and all
the first
that
thing
business.
that pops up.
You know, tell all your friends and all that. So we had a lovely time talking about this episode this week. We expect to have a lovely time talking about the episode next week, whatever that episode ends up being. And so we hope you will join us
Be
again
moderately enjoyable.
as we fill in the space in between.
We're gonna be so
new
mad.
Star
We're
Trek
gonna be so
episodes.
fucking pissed if you don't enjoy this.
Well, Lower Decks is coming up again soon, and I'm the end of August, so we're all looking forward to that. But in the meantime, we will be discussing
Lower
some of these
Decks.
other episodes. And if there is an episode or a topic that you would like us to discuss, just write us in on Twitter or feedback at itsgotstartrek.com, whatever you like. You can do whatever you want. I'm not going to try to pressure you into anything.
Not org, not .gov, not .net, not .ca,
But we're offering it.
not
dot.
net,
Not
not
dot.
.net, not .net.
Not dot.
I want. Is there a not .net? I want to start a not .net. Not .net. Have you been to not
I
.net?
think you already did, dude.
I just started not .net.
Yeah, okay.
Don't fucking squat on my fucking URL, you motherfuckers.
All right. So
Not dot.
Not .net.
that will officially conclude the It's Got Star Trek podcast for this week.
www. Not .net.
We will talk to you.
Not dot.
There won't be a dot between the W and the N. It'll be www. Not .net.
So this is going to go on long after we turn off the recorder. So just,
And it'll be
I'm going to be dealing with this for
And
the
then
next.
it'll be
God knows how long.
HTTP, so will not be
I'm just
secure.
gonna go ahead and say.
So none of your data will be
good night.
encrypted.
I hope you all have a lovely evening. We'll deal with this in the interim. We'll be better. We'll be better at this next week. We'll talk to you later. Good night and bye bye.
Not .net.
Tuvok, has anyone ever told you you're a real freakosaurus?